Yo, 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 what's happening? How you guys doing today? Welcome to another exciting edition of Funk Music with Zack right here on IBMTV.tv. It's our first show of 2021. So we're going to try to chop it up and touch a few subjects out here that's going on. But today, first of all, I'm repping my Chicago Bears stuff. For all my Bears fans out there, they're my second team. So go Bears. We need you guys to beat the Packers so we can get in, and that's really cool. Man, shouts out to my homie, my brother from another mothership, Mr. Mark Lee back there. He'll be jumping on, and we're going to be talking about some things in the political field and see if we can get you guys this money quick, fast, in a hurry, because I know you need it. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsor, IBM Dollar Store. You guys can check that out. And Mr. Lynn Shepard is doing a great job. So thank you for sponsoring and doing all the stuff you do for all the good shows here at IBM.tv. Hello around the world. How you guys doing in India and everything? We're going to get to our roll call like we always do. And we also going to, be talking about the origins of funk music. I was checking Facebook, and a good friend of mine out in Washington, Lisa Graham, who runs this amazing program, the Art Awareness Program, and I'm going to have her on the show soon. And I was just checking my feed, looking for subjects to talk about. And I saw they were talking about funk and how, who started it and all this other stuff. So, naturally being a funk artist, I have to throw my hat into the ring. Boom, and talk about that. And yes, as always, we're going to give mad shout outs to, all the appropriate people, both here and that have passed on. There's so many people that left us in 2020, right down to the very wire. It was amazing. So, when we get into the show, and you guys are welcome to comment, and please do. And, we'll make it interactive and virtual and all that good stuff. And we got some good things coming, happening with IBM, and you guys can check that out. And I'm definitely going to be talking a minute about my girl, Dr. Tawana Anthony, and she's starting her new show, which I believe is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll double check that for you. So you guys sit back, hang out, and let's get into the show. You know how we start with our roll call? Here we go. Wind it up. Funk getting ready to go. Funk getting ready to roll, y'all. This is the Nappy Head Funk Army song called Fly on the Wall. A lot of you guys haven't heard this, but we're remaking it. Going to put this out in 2021. Let's feel good about it. That's what we're going to do in 2021. We're going to hit them hard, y'all. Yeah. Boom. That's what we're going to do. Kick the door in. What's happening, North Carolina? What's up, Georgia? What's up, South Carolina? What's up, Tennessee? God bless you. Stay safe. Florida's in the house. What's up, Texas? How you doing? Texas County? What's up, Oklahoma? Louisiana? New Orleans? Nappy head. Nappy head. Yeah. Utah's in the house. Arizona's in the house. Nevada's in the house. North Dakota, South Dakota's in the funky house. California, yeah. West Coast, Washington State. Woo! Minneapolis, MPLS. What's up, Detroit? Yeah. Buffalo, you in the playoffs, baby. Go get it. New York, Staten Island, Queens, the Brooklyn, the Bronx. Strong Island's in the house. I love you all out there. Yeah, yeah. Let's go over the water, y'all. Woo! So high, so high. Australia. Carmen's in the house. Wendy Beav is in the house. Love y'all. Germany. Tanny Soul Sister. Gangsta Bill Radio. Yeah. Steady groove. I love you, bro. Dubai, India. How y'all doing tonight? India. I think we went around the world to Alaska, Antarctica. Yeah. Welcome to another edition of Funk Music with Zack right here on IBM.TV. So I hope y'all having a good time. I hope y'all are all warmed up right now because I know I am. I'm pumped up for another show. Man, shouts out to my man back there, Mark Lee. How you doing, Mark? I love you. I miss you, brother. Happy New Year to you. How you doing this funky New Year, bro? Pop on and give me a shouty. Let me see you. I want to see you.
I'm doing well. You're doing well.
You're holding out on me.
Got the new cut for the new year and all of that, so I had to go get that new cut.
Well, look at you.
A little bit more smoother.
Look at you. You must be doing something I don't know about. What you got going on over there?
I wish I was doing something you didn't know about, but everything's nice and quiet over here. But we're having a good old time checking out what's going on. You know, my team is nowhere near the playoffs. The Minnesota Vikings just tanked big time, but we did have an amazing comeback. Speaking of sports, on one of my other teams, my Marquette Warriors, or the Golden Eagles as we're called now. They were the Warriors when I was there, but the Golden Eagles, they were down by 18 points to Georgetown and came back and won by 4. So we just had this amazing comeback. Like I said, we're only 6-5, so it's not the greatest season, but who knows? We got some good players, and we might be able to put together a run and hopefully get into the NCAA playoffs. But I was just amazed at that comeback.
This is how out of the loop I am, bro. I didn't even know. They're still playing basketball?
They are playing college basketball. Some teams are not, because as you know, the Duke women called off their entire season and everything. That was one of the announcements that was made at the end of last year. But the guys are still playing. A number of other folks are still playing. I've also been catching a little bit of the college football games that are going on. I was watching Clemson against Ohio State, still trying to figure out what I think about that targeting call. Because like I said, they called it targeting. It looked like a good solid hit to me, but they kicked the guy out of the game and all of that. But that's what they do sometimes in those games. I saw UNC play Texas A&M yesterday. Looked like they were going to pull off the upset, but then Texas A&M put it in overdrive and beat them by like about 2 touchdowns. But it was a good game. And then, of course, I saw Alabama against Notre Dame. And now Alabama will be playing Ohio State for that national title. So
Clemson got knocked out is what you're basically telling me. My boy that I wanted, Trevor Lawrence, he didn't come off?
Trevor was actually not doing too bad and everything.
He's not in the playoff. He's not in that 4 championship thing, whatever. See, I don't follow college at all. I am so college naive. I consider myself like just the worst college person in the world. So let me get this right. Ohio State beat Clemson.
Yeah, Ohio State beat Clemson.
Get to the final 2, the other 2, and Alabama beat Notre Dame.
You got it right.
So it was Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama. It was those 4.
That's those 4.
Now it's down to 2.
Now it's down to 2. Alabama will be playing Ohio State for the national title. And I think this is like their 5th or 6th time going to the championship round. So Alabama's
down there. Nick Saban, man. But yo, check this out. So do you think because Clemson lost, which I know you was talking about this yesterday, but I really wasn't grabbing it. So you think because Trevor Lawrence has lost, he will drop the number 2 and the Jets could get him at number 1?
You know, anything is possible, but the everybody that I'm talking to is saying that Trevor is still going to be number 1, which means he's going to go to them boys down there in Jacksonville. But I was really impressed with Fields, the quarterback for the team that he was going up against. So I think that may be who y'all are going to grab. I think y'all are going to grab.
I don't want him, though. I don't want him, man. I want this other guy, Zach Wilson from BYU. He's like a little miniature Mahomes kind of guy.
Okay, so that's
I don't want Fields because I don't want to really run. You can't run that. Well, you could because the kid from Baltimore is doing it in bad weather. But something tells me the Jets aren't going to go that running quarterback style. They may get a cat that can run, but I don't think they're going to try to build an offense around it. Now, I could be wrong because the NFL, half the league is doing that. You know. But only your special guys like Lamar Jackson and that other guy down in Houston. Only those guys can pull it off. You can't teach everybody to do that. That's a skill these guys have. You know what I mean? So I don't see the Jets doing it, but stranger things have happened. So if they do it, they do it. Thanks for that sports update. I appreciate that, man. I'll get back to you in a minute. But yes, you looking good. Happy New Year to you, brother. Got all trimmed up and everything, got your hair cut and everything. So, being bald, I don't have to really worry about that. I got no hair to grow. So at least you growing something. That's beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely growing some and all of that, and definitely got that going on. So glad to give folks that little bit of a sports update and everything. I heard the strangest sports story before I get ready to bounce it. I think you will get a kick from. I was watching my friend Shree's show earlier today, and he was having this former sports announcer or sports writer from the New York Times on, and he had gone to a classroom, and he had spoken in front of this classroom. And after he had spoken, some young lady came up to him and asked him a question that he was shocked about. But, it shows where some of our young kids are and everything. But they were talking about the way that our athletes are involved in the protest, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's trying to get folks to do the correct thing with the mask and the other things around health issues and things of that nature. But this young lady came up to him afterwards or said, I forget the gentleman's name, but said, I got a question for you, sir, and everything. And the question that she wanted to know was, when did white players integrate the NBA? So I just was amazed that she even had that kind of thought come out of her mind, because she's so used to seeing us being the dominant players that she figured that it's always been that way. And she was a young lady, so she wasn't even thinking of the fact that when it first started with Naismith and everything, we were definitely not the majority. I mean, there were people like I think one of the guys that's involved, like McClendon, that's involved in the naming of the gym over there at Central. He was with Naismith and everything. But, that was on a smaller level. We weren't like the major players. There was a lot of white players and a lot of other folks of a few other nationalities.
That's an interesting concept that she looks at it that way. But you want to know something that people don't know about? The Harlem Globetrotters were an NBA professional team. The NBA did not let them in because the Harlem Globetrotters used to always beat the NBA. So the Harlem Globetrotters were a professional traveling basketball team. They even did a movie about it. They did a movie in the you can look it up. Look up the original for you out there that watch it, and welcome to Funk Music with Zack on IBM.TV. For you guys that want to know about this subject, look up a movie from the 1950s, and it's called The Harlem Globetrotters. And I think it might have the word traveling in there, but it tells their real story. It tells how they were not allowed to be in the NBA. It tells how they were treated because of segregation and all kinds of evil things back then that didn't want to let black athletes in none of the four major sports. It actually tells the story. But to answer her question, it was always the other way around. So maybe, it's great that she wants to research that, because that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, man, we'll get on that one day. Maybe we can talk about that, man.
We'll have to talk about that one time, and definitely I'll get ready to bounce off of it. The only other thing I was getting ready to add, just really quickly, and then I'll let you go on with the rest of what you got planned, including your music and everything. But the other thing I was getting ready to add to that was, I think that same announcer, former writer for the New York Times, was talking about the fact that the original plan that some of the people that were involved with the integration of Major League Baseball was that they actually wanted to bring some of the Negro League teams into the actual Major League franchise. They wanted that. The actual plan was that what they wanted to have those teams as Major League teams. They did not want them to necessarily just be grabbing the Jackie Robinsons and the great players. They actually wanted to bring those teams into the league because they knew that those teams could handle their own and probably would have won several championships.
But that's why they didn't. That's why they didn't bring them in, because they knew like every other they would have dominated. Yeah, that's exactly why. And there's a reason behind that. They just took and picked and chose the players they wanted. But, the Kansas City Monarchs, the Pittsburgh, the New York Black Yankees, all of those teams, they would have dominated. I'm not saying they would have won every championship, but they would have won quite a few. Because, Satchel Paige was like 100 years old when he came in and was still blowing the ball. Satchel Paige used to warm up over a matchbook, bro. That's how bad that man was. Josh Gibson's still the only player to hit a home run out of the old Yankee Stadium. Ralph Kiner, at the time when Ralph Kiner was in his heyday, in the late 60s, early 70s. He said Josh Gibson was the greatest home run hitter he ever saw. And at that time, I think Ralph Kiner was 13th with 300-something home runs. So he actually said Josh Gibson was the greatest home run hitter he ever saw. The only man, there's only been 3 men to hit a ball out of any stadium. One is Josh Gibson. The second is Willie Stargell. He hit one out of Dodger Stadium. And I forgot who the third was. But Big Willie, Pittsburgh Pirates, hit one out, way out. And Josh Gibson hit one out of old Yankee Stadium. And it was like damn near 600 feet. In the old Yankee Stadium, people don't know because I'm from New York, they had the monuments in the field. If you go back and look at the pictures, you'll see Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio. You'll see the actual tombstone monuments of these guys in center field. That's how far it was back there. And nobody ever hit balls back there. So in an exhibition game, Josh Gibson, because they used to let the black clubs play in Yankee Stadium, he hit one out. Dead center, like out. So you're talking, I don't know, 800-900 feet maybe. You know, insane. But yo, man, that's cool, man. Let me get back to this thing here.
Right,
How you guys doing? Thank you for coming on, Mark. I'll bring you back a little bit later. We're going to talk about some things. You notice, again, I'm repping my Chicago Bears stuff for you guys. My man, Walter Payton, you can see that. See Chicago. From my man, George H. Darden. I missed a few birthdays yesterday. I know my man Mikey P had a birthday, but let's get to the show. Thank you for hanging out on IBM.TV, Funk Music with Zack. If you have a birthday today, peace and love and harmony. If you have an anniversary, know that we care and love you. If you feel in some kind of way, always reach out. Always know that we're here for you at IBM.TV. Y'all can check it out and hang out on some of the shows and see what we're talking about. If you lost somebody due to COVID or you're struggling economically, which we all are, just know that it's not as bad as you may think. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'll tell you why, because you're going to make your own light. You're going to create your own energy. You're actually going to do what you need to do to pull it together, only because we're all we got. And you got our help right here. So we're all we have. So the theme, and I mean, not the theme, the tone and tenor of the world, I think right now is such a place where I woke up the other day and I was like, okay, I have to start putting things into motion, get a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D, even E and F together, because we never know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, because we have very little control. We found out, exactly how much lack of control we actually do have when it came to what happened. And I ain't even going to get into it because it's behind me. But, we'll go forward. And the theme of the world, I think right now, everybody is feeling a little apprehensive. Everybody is feeling, positive for the most part. And I think everybody is feeling like, okay, let's go ahead and get things done. Some countries are moving ahead of others. Why we're dead last and everything, again, I don't know. But, logistically here in the United States, it's been a nightmare, trying to get people this vaccine. From what I understand, it's not working out like the projected plans, but I have faith that we'll get it right. And I pray for anybody that lost anyone. I pray for anybody that is in the process of grieving. I pray for all the people and all the spirits that are no longer here. That can go on to the next plateau and tell their story about their journey here, and don't be surprised if, you have a lot more paranormal activity around you in 2021, as some of us, our senses have been heightened to understand certain things that we have to do. Doesn't make us any better or worse. It just makes us awake a little bit more. And our sentence, we have a heightened sense of urgency to spread peace and love. And and try to make that work, and I'm going to get back to this thing about the funk thing in a minute. When I was checking out my friend Lisa's post, I love looking at Lisa Graham's post. She's always up so early. I don't know how she does it because she's up before East Coast people are up. So Lisa, kudos to you. Because when I read your post, when I first wake up, I'm like, it's got to be like 5 o'clock in the morning there. She's always putting out such positive stuff. We had Lisa on once. We're going to get her back on again in 2021. So, getting down to it here right now today, January 3rd, 2021, people are worried about whether or not the stimulus checks are going to come, how much are we going to get, what Congress is going to do, and I don't really have an opinion on that only because I don't know. Every day, you try to pick up a little bit of information and it's constantly changing. You still have people that are fighting and believe that, the election never happened, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So who knows? Because for the most part, people have gotten over that. So those of you that continue to want to do that, that's your right to do. But the rest of us are like, hey, that train sailed, that ship left, We're not even thinking about that, because it's a wrap. So just, queue up, pull up your socks and get out. That would be what I would say. Just, hey, get out. It's time to go. Yes, I drink tea all the time. Never coffee, but always tea. And for those of you that might want to sponsor me with tea, Earl Grey. Earl Grey tea. I should be getting some money from the NFL today because I do have my original throwback, Walter Payton on. So, it's actually one of the originals that came out back in the day when they was doing the throwback series. So Walter was my favorite player of all time. That's why I rep Chicago. So here we are, and we're going forward and we're going to try to do all these great things that we have set down. And I know every New Year's Eve or roundabout, everybody makes their list. They're like, okay, these are my New Year's Eve resolutions. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to try to be a better person. I'm going to try to be more spiritual, if that's your thing. I don't want to offend you if you're not, because that doesn't make or break a person. I'm going to try to do X, Y, Z, and those goals and those resolutions are great because what they do, they give us a sense of rebooting. They actually help us to understand, okay, it's a new start. It's a new beginning. No matter what happened, I can change. I can do something that I want to do. I can start this new project that I've been waiting on. And I don't know why we have to pick December 31st to do this. I think it's ingrained in us, but I think you should do this every day. I think every day we should say, okay, tomorrow's a new beginning. I think every day we should say, okay, what did I do yesterday that I need to get done today? I think it should be a daily thing. Now, that's just me personally. I have nothing against anybody that does it once a year or twice a year, whatever, but I think it should be done every day because every day is the gift. That's the precious moment. Every day is another lifetime, 3 minutes, some things live for only 3 minutes and that's their lifetime, some insects and bugs and things like that, so I think every day should be our New Year's New Day resolution. I think that's very important. Now, for everybody else out there that's hanging out, that's not really into that and just kind of takes it day by day. You guys are equally as important to me and I love you all equally because, I understand when people are exhausted and they're just mentally shot. We all get that way. We all get mentally fatigued and say to ourselves and to others, I can't talk anymore. I can't think anymore. I can't, try to give anymore because I just don't have it. It ain't there. And I think, that's fine because this climate that we're in, it leads us to feel that way, and it takes extra energy to still get up and go to work and take care of the kids and get them in school and do all that other stuff. And for you children and young people out there and teenagers and college students, I know you feel the same way. We're not excluding you because we're adults and you're not quite there yet. Or some of you may be there. It doesn't matter your age. Everybody feels like, okay, how can we make this thing and make it better? What can I do? How's it going to be? And then that will mentally make you tired. It really will. I noticed myself, I've been taking more naps than usual. I haven't had really long stints of sleep, but I've increased my naps by at least 2 or 3 a week, where I never used to take a lot of naps. But now, I do something, I'm just like mentally shot. I'm tired. So I think, mentally, we all just need a break. It would be nice to have some peace and quiet coming from Capitol Hill for the next couple of months and let everybody kind of inhale and exhale and breathe in and breathe out, and give everybody a chance to really, really, really soak up 2021 and let us get our foot in the blocks before we take off on this race, because that's what's getting ready to happen. As soon as this whole thing is lifted, people are going to get shot out of the gate with all their ideas, all their energy. And, it's just going to be like a free for all, So in a way, I'm looking forward to it because as an Aries, I always love to be around the action and I love fire and I love to be in the middle of the action. But I'm not looking forward to it because along with all that energy coming out, it's always going to be some other stuff that we may not want to deal with. And hopefully we keep that as human beings down to a minimum. I was listening to how India and New Zealand and Australia and a lot of these countries, were doing the vaccine. And my thing is, I'm trying to figure out why they are so far ahead of us when it comes to distribution. I mean, we all started the same race. I mean, how did that happen where we actually are not even in the race when it comes to this distribution? For instance, New York, my hometown, it's like, you guys only did like thousands when you should have been in millions. I don't get it. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why. I heard widespread rumors of doctors stealing stuff. I heard widespread rumors of, and again, these are rumors, not my information. I am not a newscaster. It's just my opinion on this show. I heard rumors that, people made mistakes and left the refrigerator open or took vaccines out of the refrigerator that was supposed to be in the refrigerator, and that ended up contaminating the whole batch, so they had to go back. So, I don't know, it's funny because myself and Brenda was talking last night, Brenda Woods, and we were saying, like, with all of the good, there's always going to come some black market activity, illegal activity. So just make sure if you're getting the vaccine, make sure, number one, the source is credible, right? Make sure, number two, the source is credible. And lastly, the source is credible. Okay, just make sure, check. Don't think that, hey, they're going to be selling this, at Herb's Corner Store. You know what I mean? You go in and buy your needle and syringe and shoot it yourself. Chances are you ain't really getting the vaccine. Probably getting saline water or something like that, And I know it sounds as ridiculous as it may sound. I'm telling you, I'm from New York City. I done seen everything sold in the bodega, everything, legal and illegal. So don't put that past people to try to pull that off. Okay, so I think, let's just be smart. Me personally, I would take the vaccine. I'm not afraid of it. I've taken vaccines my whole life, sometimes against my will and better judgment, but I did it because of the greater good. Because if something happens to me because I took the vaccine, then, they could study me and whatever and see why. And if nothing happened, then I'm actually probably helping prevent something that could spread. Because that's why we've made progress. That's why we have scientists. We've made progress, So I think that, using technology and all the progress that we've made and all the smart, brilliant people working on this thing, I pretty much would trust them. I know about the Tuskegee Institute experiment, which was horrible. Genocide, another form of genocide on Black people. So I understand apprehension of this thing when it comes to Black and brown skinned people. I really, really do. I understand it. I actually applaud it because we need to constantly bring this up to let people know, hey, this is what happened to us. Native Americans, when they came and gave you blankets with tuberculosis and other diseases in the blankets to kill you off, This is what happened. They also used poisons similar to elderberry, even though that's not a poison. And they also poisoned a lot of springs and wells of Native Americans. A lot of people in this country don't even know those stories, but they're true stories. These people died. They were the first original people of this land, right? And yet when the settlers came and they wanted to take over a tribe, they would poison their wells. And you can read it, it's documented. They would poison their wells. It's something like elderberry, but it's not elderberry. I can't quite call the weed, but it was some stuff that they were putting in the water, and whole tribes of people would just vanish. And then they would leave their land, and the land would be confiscated by whoever. And that's the game. And it's still kind of like that, So, yes, Tuskegee Institute is in the back of my mind every time I've ever taken a vaccine. And I ain't going to lie about that. Every single time as a black man, I was concerned about it, and I still am. And I'm concerned about my children as well, and everybody else I know out there that I know and love. So, that's just food for thought, something to think about. Here we are hanging out on Funk Music with Zack. I dug out some more stuff from the archives, like I promised you guys, and I'm going to get that to you in a minute. We got a song called Praise God, I think it is, and also another song called Fly on the Wall. Which we're going to be remaking or whatever. And I'm trying to get that one done so I can get it on, to Robin Denson, Circle of the P on P Funk Radio. That's right. So y'all check that out. We're going to be running that in a little bit. And again, thank you, Lynn Shepard and, IBM TV.TV dollar store. And you guys can go on that dollar store and buy everything from masks to cups to tea bags. Earl Grey. All right, that's what I drink. So, you can always go support that. They're one of the major sponsors of IBM TV.TV. So y'all can hang out and go check out that dollar store and see what they have, cookies and all kinds of stuff. So, that's pretty cool. So getting to the roots of this funk thing, about Lisa Graham's quote, and I love you, Lisa. Thank you for giving me an idea. I even sent you a text and said, hey, I'm going to talk about this today, and everybody was putting their, opinion in about the thread, and everybody was right. There is no wrong in the funk, how we do. But the Mount Rushmore, it was James, it was Sly, Bootsy, and George Clinton, right? Now, that in itself cannot be topped. I mean, how would you top James Brown, Bootsy? But there's a few other people that I would put in there in that funk category that actually had a lot to do with it that people don't know. In my opinion, again, this is just me after studying funk and being a funk musician and understanding this whole funk thing. I think there's a lot. There are a lot of groups that a lot of people that may be younger might not know about. So I'm going to give you a list of them, and you guys can go check them out. Go look up Edgar Winter and the White Trash, all right? Two albino brothers, funky as hell white boys. Go look them up. Go look up Grand Funk Railroad, again, on the rock funk side. A lot of the Jimi Hendrix, Buddy Miles stuff, and Jimi Hendrix, by far, my favorite artist, just Hendrix. That's it. That's why I don't talk about him much, because he's my favorite, I hold him dear to my heart. Hendrix all day, Hendrix, So go look up the Hendrix Buddy Miles stuff when they got Buddy Miles on drums and he replaced Mitch Mitchell and they got Billy Cox on bass. A lot of that stuff is super funky, and it actually preludes early Funkadelic, because you can hear early Funkadelic taken from that. So Grand Funk Railroad, the early Jimi Hendrix stuff with Buddy Miles, for sure, make sure you include Tower of Power. And the other group I said was Black Heat, but Tower of Power, they were back there. And their earlier stuff, pre-What Is Hip, because that's their hit or whatever, Soul Vaccination. If you listen to that syncopated stuff, that's funky. Another group that you would never consider them a funk group, but they were a funk group, as well as rock and Latin and Cuban and neo-soul and all other stuff, was Mandrill. Do not leave my brother, big brother Funk Joe Santiago, and Mandrill out of this conversation. They changed the game, along with Mother's Finest, some other friends of mine. They changed the game. So these are a lot of groups that had that still doing what Funkadelic was doing, but in a slightly different way. You know what I mean? That's why I brought up Grand Funk Railroad. A lot of people think about Grand Funk Railroad, and they think of Oonga Chaka, Oonga, Oonga, that song, I Can't Stop This Feeling, which was a remake. No, you listen to early Grand Funk Railroad, when they was playing live at Madison Square Garden, blowing people's ears out. That's how loud and funky they was. So, and their drummer sang, and, it was just 3-piece group. You know what I'm saying? But, groups like that also merged in with the Funk Brothers. Now, this is important. I have to drink a cup of tea for this one. Those of you that have never seen Standing in the Shadows of Motown, any musician, any fan of music in general, doesn't matter the genre, you need to buy, rent, download that information. It's a CD. They sell it. Standing in the Shadows of Motown. Okay. It tells the real story behind the Motown sound. Yes, Barry Gordy was the genius that put it all together. But one group that made the whole thing work was called the Funk Brothers. Right now, I want to see you guys typing Funk Brothers Standing in the Shadows of Motown. You need to be Googling this. You need to learn about this. This is very important. I even taught my students this against my owner's will when I taught at the School of Rock. He didn't want me to teach them that, but, I had to tell them the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't work at the School of Rock anymore. Right? Exactly. But don't worry. One day I'll have enough money. I'm going to start my school of funk. But Standing in the Shadows of Motown, the group was called the Funk Brothers. It was the collective house studio musicians out of Detroit, most of them, some of them came from other places, that did all the music, okay? All the music. Smokey, Temptations, Supremes, Four Tops, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, right? And every other group that came after that. The Motown Funk Brothers Detroit sound was them. Just like the P-Funk sound is them. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Bootsy sound is them. When I say them, I mean the person doing it. Bootsy is that sound. P-Funk is that sound. The Funk Brothers, they were the Motown sound because they pre-played all the tracks. And then Barry Gordy would pick the groups to come sing on this one and that one. That's how it was done. Get the DVD, download it, watch it. It's a must-have. I have a copy of it. Standing in the Shadows of Motown tells a story about those guys, how they put together the music, and they called it The Cave or something like that. And they had a name for it, the Hole or something, whatever it was, tiny little studio, no bigger than somebody's garage, a double garage, right? And they would write and create and formulate all of this great music, all right? Standing in the Shadows of Motown, the Funk Brothers, please go see it because their music has been exploited. It wasn't until somebody did the documentary and they started selling the video and they started doing many tours that people understood their value to the Motown sound. Barry Gordy, yes, genius, got all the groups together and all of that and, was dealing with the paperwork and trying to make deals, and commercials and get people on TV. Yes, Barry Gordy, tip of the cap for being a black entrepreneur. But the cats that actually did the music, the Funk Brothers. And one of the quotes in the Funk Brothers in that documentary was they could have had Mickey Mouse sing Mary Had a Little Lamb on that music. It still would have made and sold millions of copies. That's how good they were. A lot of those guys didn't read. They played by feel. And what they would do, and this is in the documentary, told by them, the ones that were still alive, they would do gigs all night, and come up with jam sessions and do all this jamming in these clubs. And when they would go into the studio and Barry Gordy or Marvin Gaye or Stevie Wonder or, Tammy Terrell or one of them needed a song, they would say, hey, remember that thing we did on stage last night? Let's try that. And they would formulate it into a song. So those guys, all geniuses. And the only reason I mention them is because they have their own Mount Rushmore. Okay, you got the Mount Rushmore, James, Bootsy, Sly, George, you got them. But then you got the Funk Brothers right next to them. They got their own Mount Rushmore. And make no mistake about it, when you guys go out and you text me and let me know that you watched it, Standing in the Shadows of Motown, I'm going to give you a quiz. I'm going to give you a week. I'm going to come back next week. There's going to be a test on it. That includes you too, Mark. back there. So I'll make sure you guys know that, because that information is very, very important. It has its place in the mountain that we're climbing up musically in the history of this planet. That music is second to none. And we definitely have to have a third Mount Rushmore for this R&B pseudo-funk / funk thing, because we have to go down to NOLA. All right? We have to go to NOLA. And I'm not talking the later stuff when Prince developed the MPLS. I get that. That he was there too. But Prince, if you notice, he was into who he was into. Most definitely Sly, most definitely Hendrix, most definitely Little Richard and Funkadelic. So, Prince was listening to all of this stuff. Boosie even says Prince came in. Boosie was already at Warner Brothers when Prince came in as a youngin'. So, let's not get it twisted. Prince got his stuff. He listened to cats too, as genius as he was. You could hear in his music the things he listened to. But when you go down to NOLA, and they took what was called back then R&B or soul or whatever, but they put that, they put it on a different slant with that New Orleans kind of sound where the percussions and things like that were added in such a way to where it had that Mardi Gras-ish feel. So you look at the Neville Brothers, their early stuff. If you ever listen to the early Patti LaBelle stuff, right? That's the Neville Brothers playing in the studio with her, doing all that stuff. The early. I'm not talking Patti's other stuff. I'm talking the early stuff like Ulu Fukuse Avec Quoi, Sesqua. That stuff. You listen to that, right? So again, there were different pockets of this funk thing being developed, all around. And when George put his finger in it, and he always says, "Yeah, I took all that, I peed on it." Because George is a genius. He's from down here in North Carolina, where I live now. Then he went to New Jersey, put the P on it. And for those of you that don't know, the P in P-Funk stands for Plainfield, New Jersey. Bernie, Billy, they was all over there doing their thing. I think Gary might have even been there in that time, but I'm not really sure. Eddie Hazel for sure. Them boys was from Plainfield, New Jersey. So Tiki Forward and all of them. So, there's a huge history behind this funk thing. And thank you, Lisa, for allowing me to speak on this today, because I just wanted to put that out there. There's different pockets of it, and obviously, when Prince came, he did what he did with it. And then, Bootsy Collins coming out of the James Brown thing, he did what he did with it. So, Bootsy says, and he always says this, funk is making something out of nothing. Let me see if I can get my Bootsy voice since I got on the glass. Hold on. Funk Baba is making something out of nothing. Yabba dabba dooza babba. Yeah, Bootsy, thank you. I have to challenge you every now and then because you are the best. You and Peppermint Patty, you guys are crushing it. But yeah, so, when you take make something out of nothing, that's what George did. And he put that thing to it, and it was a little wild, and where the 60s and 70s was at that time with the radicalness of it. But after they got going, and George perfected it and realized, like, hey, what I got to do is slow this down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then just start spitting my stuff on top of it, and once he did that and everybody else followed through and everybody else kind of said, hey, I can add this, I can add that or whatever, and Bernie with his genius with all the stuff that he was doing and, all the great players, every one of those guys and girls, all of them, and the P-Funk women are equally as important. Every one of them had their own thing that they could have did. It was just that they were all just that good. They all could have been the leaders of their own bands. Some of them did, and don't forget when the horns came in, and even the second set of P-Funk horns, and then the other drums, then Dennis and Skeet came in. All of those cats, man. Can you imagine having a band, with Dennis Chambers, Skeet on bass, Eddie Hazel, Michael Hampton, Blackbird McKnight, and Boogie Munson on guitar or bass, Bernie Worrell, you know what I mean? George up front, Gary Scheider, Dawn Silver, Amuka Head. Can you imagine, the right girl, Deborah Wright, and all of them? Could you just imagine that band? And not to mention Razor Sharp on keyboards and Frankie Cash Waddy on drums, and Mudbone Cooper singing vocals, and the late Peanut Johnson, love you, Peanut, still got your number in my phone, brother. Can you imagine like just being on stage and this stuff is going on and you're creating all this stuff and the one guy kind of molding it all is the Dr. Funkenstein. Now, I'm telling you, that's why I always say the greatest band in the history of the world. That's just my opinion. It's not because I'm a funk head. It's because I look and see what spawned from those bands. You know what I mean? I could actually say, hey, wow, look at all these bands. Look at all this music that came from these guys. So a little history, in my opinion, of where this funk thing went. Mark Lee back there, my man behind the glass. See if we can get one of those Zachariah Cloud 9 funk songs queued up. I think we're going to do a song called Praise God. I did do a CD, which Revolution is on, which we remixed that in Spiritual Purpose and put it out recently. So you guys sit back and enjoy Funk Music with Zack. Thank you for joining me from around the world on IBMTV.TV, right here, hanging out. So we see if we get that song queued up while Mark is taking care of that. Oh, there it is right there. Cool. Let's make it work. Yeah, this is spiritual funk. Again, still funky. Still funky.
Cloud 9. We come to praise his name, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you got to praise it, you know. You got to give God praise in everything. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I love the Lord. Jesus is the risen Savior. Praise God. It's all right. He was God long before Mary put him in the manger. Praise God. It's all right. The world was given the Holy One. God sent his only begotten Son. Jesus conquered death and rose up in 3. He's the only one who by his blood we can be saved. Psalm 154. Check it.
Yeah. That was cool. You know what? We're going to hold off on that other one, Mark, and I'm going to bring you in about 1 minute, if you don't mind popping on. I just want to give people a little history on that song. That song is off the Zack Cloud 9 CD. We're going to re-put that out. It's in some places right now. You can get it on YouTube and everything else. But, I think it's on Spotify too. But feel free to download it. I did that song for my sister. She was very religious, and I always wanted to do a spiritual funk song. I didn't know how to do it. I got with my drummer and producer, who still does all my production. One of my producers, my other producer is Jix Winslow down here in North Carolina, and he's really cool. He helped do Beast Mode True Funk Soldier. But Kev and his writing partner, Cherie Snyder, and, she's also my vocal coach. They helped me rewrite this song along with Jeff Roberson, but he didn't actually help on this particular one, but I had his concept in mind. And I wanted to do something for my sister and also put a piece of my father in it because he was a minister and my sister was, a spiritualist. So it went from my father, skipped me and went to them, which is okay because I had to be a funketeer, which I was perfectly happy being skipped. Trust me. I never wanted to be a minister. Nothing against ministers and preachers. I love you all. It just wasn't my thing. I would rather minister this way through the music. So, and that's just keeping it real. So we came up with this concept and I'll give you a hint on all my stuff. It was always the Nappy Head Funk Army. It was always members doing it, whether John Willis, whether, Eric Pearl Wilson, whether it was William Bush, whether it was Kevin Harrington, whether it was Andre LaSalle, whether it was Ainsley Taylor, whether it was Tanya Tiet, whether it was Miss Pat Dioria, whether it was Carlton Collier or Mark Bass or Gary Bordes, so all Eric J as well. So all my stuff, and John Purvis as well. I can't forget him. I love you, John. All my stuff. And I think I named everybody. That was the core of all the music that we have out. At some point, other people were on it too, but those were the core cats that helped develop the sound. I always tell people anything you hear by the Nappy Head Funk Army, I came up with the concepts, the ideas. I come up with, different vamps and different hooks and different lines I want them to play. And then, we sit and rehearse. And in the rehearsal, we actually develop the songs. And I allow my guys and girls complete freedom, except for there were things that I wanted in the music that I make sure get in the music. But I also allow people creativity to express themselves. If there's something specific I want, my guys and girls would always lay it down for me. So that's really, really cool. A lot of people don't know this story, but I'm going to tell it. I was actually working in the studio with Amuka Kelly back then, Sheila Horn, and she's Amuka Head now, but we actually were getting ready to do a remake of some stuff, and we got it to George, and nothing really happened with it, but I was actually recording with her, at the same time I was doing this, and I think she had to go on tour, but I think she would have ended up being on this if she would have been here in the United States. So I think she had went to Italy at the time. So, I was starting to actually work with some of the Funkadelic and P-Funk women, and Mike Hampton and stuff like that. And I still, got a song, that I'm, Skeet agreed to play on, as well as, Mike. So I'm still working on that as well. Because that's one of my goals, to have some of those cats on my stuff too before I ascend to the next level. So I'll give you another hint about that song. Praise God. It's not so much that I was trying to push a religious message, more so than trying to give people spiritual food and something positive. Because right around the time I was pushing this music out, and we were pushing this music out, 9/11 was about 3 or 4 years past. So people were still going back into their old ways of they don't really care about things, and they weren't really picking up, what was happening. So I wanted to do something other than that straight go ahead funk, to give people an idea that, hey, you can be, and David Brooks attested to this, you could still be funky and still get your spirit on, or you could still be spiritual and get your funk on. Either way, it's all the same thing. It's like that George Clinton cover album, the Funkadelic album, where he's sitting in the chair and then he's got the bop gun and the flashlight right there. So it's like, we are Parliament Funkadelic is what he was saying. And he said, I don't care how you get it as long as you get it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And I was trying to just do the same thing, put out different things. And I didn't care how people was getting it. I just wanted them to get it. And mad shouts out to my longtime brother, Jeff Dr. Jeff Roberson, who actually signed me to Long Island Gospel Sound labels. And yes, I was the first one to get signed to that label. So brand new coming out. And he supported me even when others doubted me. He supported me. So I love you for that, Jeff. But last thing I'm going to say about that, then I'm going to bring my man Mark on, is that a lot of you guys don't know I'm a drummer, obviously played drums and, did the frontman thing. But on that particular track, I was playing bass. So, and you could hear maybe my Larry Graham-ish thing that I was trying to do. And I hope y'all go back and listen to it and dig it, because Larry Graham to me has always been one of the more fascinating bass players that I've ever seen. I was up front. I seen him live, and just, him and Bootsy, what they do on bass, and, come on, that's why they're who they are, on the bass players Mount Rushmore, but I was thinking, how would Larry play this? And then I always have Skeet in the back of my head. Believe me, I am not a bass player. I just write songs on bass. And I play on stage sometimes too. But I was thinking, okay, what would Skeet do? So when you hear that, I was like, okay, Skeet would do that. And, Larry would do that. So I was like, all right, let me just kind of put Zachariah into it and try to, borrow a little bit from them. So yeah, we all have influences, and I'm so proud to say, hey, I've lived long enough to see them all and take a little bit from everybody, and then mix my own self up in it too, and that's how you get what you get. So that's about that. And we've had a great show. Mark, come on in, brother. Before we get out of here, let's chop it up 5 minutes about what is going on with the stimulus checks.
Well, the stimulus checks, I'm trying to figure that out. I did get my $600 one, but, I'm still paying bills. So a lot of that is already pretty much, I won't say gone, but I can't say gone, because a lot of it is already gone off to some bills and everything. So as soon as I got it, it's disappeared. And I know it's not going to cover the bills that I've still got left out there. So, even when you get it, you oftentimes know that it's just good to have it in the bank. I've left it in the bank a little bit there, so I can just sit there and have it there for a minute. So I had that going on. And hold on one second. He's saying that he cannot hear me at all. So hopefully other people can hear me, but we'll definitely see what's going on.
I got you.
All right. So he heard me, but definitely, like I said, they got that money going on, and I was glad to get what I got. But I know a lot of times you're going to have that money. You're going to be sitting there going like, this is going to take care of this. It's going to take care of that. And then oftentimes it doesn't take care of nearly what you need. Because as I was telling you one time, I think I'd come over to your spot and visited with you and everything. And I was telling you that, I was glad that I came into the bank account a couple of days ago and everything, but I knew that was not going to cover the bills that I've got to cover. So I need them to send the rest of it. I know that they were talking about 2,000 because, some of these countries were given I think 2,000 a month or something like that, which is actually more doable than this $600 one that's supposed to last like 9 months or something like that. Who do you know that can survive off of $600 over a 9-month time frame? That's just impossible. That's not even realistic, because that would be like you spending for just living less than $100. Oh, that'd be probably less than $75 a month for survival. And we know that with
what it is that bothers
and electricity and the rest of that, that's not going to happen. I do have to just divert for 1 second, because you're talking about that music, and I was really digging what you were saying about your music and the funk music and all of that. And I do want to get to the politics as well. But coming to the funk music, you make me jealous, because you and some other friends make me jealous, because you have had the pleasure of playing the drums. And I told you way back when that in high school, I wanted to play the drums, and they kicked me out of the band, said I had no rhythm and that I should not even attempt to play the drums. So like I said, every time that I run across you drummers, I'm like, I should be the one that was the master drummer, but I did not have that gift. I have the gift of gab, and I get to be an MC and a festival organizer, but I could not get back there and kick on those drums like I wanted to when I was a teenager. And of course, that was many, many, many moons ago.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it. It's funny how I got to even be a drummer. My first instrument was saxophone. I played saxophone for about a week, and I just couldn't put it together right. Too many things to mess with, too many moving parts, and the thing kept messing with my teeth. So I dropped that because they was giving us a couple of weeks to figure out what we wanted to do. And then I actually left the band and went to orchestra, and I actually played upright bass for like 2.5, 3 years. Seventh grade, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And part of 10th, I took upright bass because I was always fascinated with that sound. And I took upright bass, but the problem was back then they used to give you instruments to take home, but you could only bring something that big home over the summer. So I was playing football at the time, and I remember bringing it home, but it sat in the corner. I never played it, right? Because I was thinking about football and practicing football and going to summer camp for football, right? So when I went back in my sophomore year and I went to the bass room, I couldn't play it. I had lost that sensitivity, that touch that it takes to play upright bass, right? And also, my hands were not growing fast enough to wrap around the whole neck. So what I did is I was like, all right, I have to find an instrument, because back then, if you weren't playing an instrument in my town, you were either an athlete, or you were playing an instrument, or you was a wino. It was just only three things. So I was like, man, all the girls seem to gravitate towards, the group I named, Grand Funk Railroad. He's a drummer. Buddy Miles, he's a singing drummer. All the drummers was like doing their thing. John Bonham, I was like, I got to try to do that. I couldn't play. I had no idea. I tried to learn over one summer, and then I was like, all right, my dad wouldn't give me a drum set, so he said, listen, if you're really going to dedicate yourself to drums, and I had rhythm, but I was just playing. I didn't want to play in the band. I was just playing. And he said, if you really want to do this, he said, you have to take it seriously. So that's when I stopped playing football, started practicing, and really took my drumming craft seriously, because I knew it was the only thing that gave me that feeling inside that I wanted from the music. And you practice and you learn, and then you go get your behind spanked several times. Over the years, you get spanked. You think you're ready, you go out, and then you get spanked again. Spank. But I was fortunate, because at 17, I went out with NYC Review, and we was backing up the Tramps, Disco Inferno. You know what I'm saying? So I got a chance to really get in there then. And that's what I learned. Believe it or not, that disco foundation, that steady beat, gave me all the tools I ever needed for the funk, because it was a steady thing, So that's how I kind of got into drums. So, but believe me, I'll be more than happy to teach you, because I know you can master this thing. You're a master of everything you do. So I think if you would have put more time into it, you would have been a great drummer.
I think I'm going to still pick back up those drums. One of the other things I've always enjoyed is the whole concept of social justice and politics and all of that. Man. So who knows, maybe one of these days I'll run for some office or something like that. But I don't know. I might have some skeletons out there that I don't want folks to know about. So that might not happen or anything along those lines. Because, we all got things that we don't want to come out on the campaign trail. But, you had asked me earlier about what's going on. But we got these crazy folks that are coming out there, and they're talking about that they don't want to certify the election, and they're going to do something, I believe it's on Wednesday, and they're talking about that they're not going to have any sort of certification, and that they're going to try to overturn what was clearly a widely known one election by Joe Biden. I don't think they stand a chance in HELL. I don't think they stand a chance at all of that happening, but they still seem to want to continue to try this effort and everything along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do. I do know that they're doing that. And of course, we've got a major election coming up on, I believe it's Tuesday, which will be the election down there in Georgia. I know that they had the early voting, and I saw on the news some long lines. So a lot of folks were out there definitely getting out to vote. They're still doing campaign events, I think, all the way up until the election, with all the power brokers getting down there to Georgia to try to mobilize their forces. I think that Kamala Harris has got another appearance down there. Biden may have another one. I do believe that the forces of the right are also sending their big guns as well. So there's still a lot of folks that are trying to make sure that the election goes the way that they want it in Georgia. I know which way I like it to go. I want both of them Democrats to win, so that we can at least have some balance in what's going on and some good directions in what's happening and all of that. But that's just kind of my thoughts. But what are your thoughts, Zach, in terms of what's been going on, and even the ways that they're still not ready to accept the election?
Well, I think personally, I think that they're never going to accept it. Okay. I was looking at my phone. I think that they're never going to accept it, only because they know that this whole thing is a lie, it's a sham, it's a scam, right? Because if they decertify what actually has happened, they will actually be decertifying their own votes for Republicans. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, these votes don't count, but my Republican votes count. So I think right there, that should solve it. It shouldn't even be a thing. It should go no further than that. It should go as far as, well, hey, if I decertify Biden's votes, wouldn't that automatically say that my votes that I got were illegitimate as well? So I think right there, Georgia, it concerns me because of the amount of angst that we have about that state. And it concerns me that not enough people will take it serious about, the local election, the House and the Senate. But I do think they're doing a good job, from what I've heard, getting the word out about how important this is. And I think this week, the election's on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I got to remember which date, but I know it's coming up very soon.
I think once tomorrow hits, or even today, I think they'll really, really drive home the importance of how they need to really pinpoint and get all the votes they need to make the thing work. But to be honest with you, I'm praying that it just goes the way that we all want it to go. Some of us that, vote Democrat. And I'm praying that they don't screw it up, because we were supposed to not even be in this position with all the money that we spent, on the local elections. We weren't supposed to be losing these or losing this one or the one in South Carolina. So somewhere along the line, we did not connect with people. And we can't be too far to the extreme, because the people in the center are the people that actually vote and control everything. And I think where the Democrats made their mistake in the local elections, they actually went too far to the extreme left. They went all the way, and nothing against Bernie, but they went all the way in Bernie Sanders territory with some of the stuff they were saying, some of the quotes they were saying. And middle of the roadish that's undecided, they don't want to hear that stuff. Just like if I'm middle of the road, I don't want to hear that stuff coming from Rush Limbaugh. I ain't paying attention to that. So that his message is not going to resonate. So I think down the middle, in that center lane, tomorrow they need to focus on that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, because that's never going to change. It's that middle of the road that changes everything, and I'm praying that this comes out the way we need to come out so we can go ahead and start some healing. And this other clown, he's going to always be a sideshow circus. He'll be a clown. He'll have his carnival acts all around in the state. He'll go and jump up there and do his crazy monkey thing and whatever he be doing, YMCA and all this other stuff that is craziness, right? That's what he be doing, right? I can mock him now because he's out of the office. So to me, he's fair game like anybody else now. Oh, yeah. I was the president. I treated you with nothing but dignity and respect while you was there. But your ass is going now. Now you're going to get it. Now I can mock all the dumb, crazy stuff that you were doing. You know what I'm saying? Because now you fair game just like the rest of us. Even though I have much respect for you, I never mocked the president. But now, yes, I must mock that because you're a fool. So get out. Get your stuff and get out. You already done turned the White House into a crack house. You took everything but the doorknobs, and I'm expecting them to be gone by the time Biden and Kamala get there. All right? Yes. So if I'm unload, I'm unload now. Put the silverware back. Put the painting of Martin Luther King and George Washington back. Put the linen back. You can't walk out with all that stuff and your truck is overflowing like the Beverly Hills Billies with all the stuff you done stole, and you leave in the White House with your truck rocking like this. Put all that stuff back and leave it there for the next freaking president.
So how much do you think that he's taken out of there?
What? What do you say?
How much do you think he's taking out? How much?
Everything, bro. Watch. Biden's going to have to run his credit card to the max. Biden's going to be at IKEA buying stuff. We're going to see Biden down here at the furniture store buying stuff because this man has stolen everything. I'm telling you, Biden's going to walk into an empty space and be like, Jesus. He even took the Oval, that famous desk that's in the Oval Office, whatever they call that crazy desk. There's some purpose name for it or whatever. He took that absolute desk. Yes, he took that. He took everything. He's taking everything. Trust me. It ain't not going to be there. Biden's got to redecorate. His wife is going to spend the whole next year just redecorating the place from all the damage this guy has done. Because he's going to sell it. He'll be having that stuff in Key Largo. You go down to his hotel, he'll be having an absolute desk in there. He'll be having presidential chairs. They'll be eating with presidential knives and forks. I'm telling you.
He's got all that stuff in there, huh?
All of it. Because what a thief does is what a thief does. Right. So you know what I'm saying? So if you're a thief, you steal. That's what you do. I watch all those crazy drama shows, and they be talking like, why do you steal? Because I'm a thief. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? This is what he does. People realize. And the crazy thing is, he ain't sharing none of that wealth with the people that actually support him. That's the biggest con.
It's the biggest con. Like I said, what did you think about the times when he went out there and he was sitting there asking for people for money, knowing good well he's got all this money himself that he needed to have go into people's economy, their personal economy, or not coming to his campaign. But he wanted people to send money in to kind of like help him fight these legal battles he's got. So he's not even spending his own money. He's spending the money of these folks that believe in his madness in order to like fight his battles and everything. So he's got all of these people spending money for him because they believe that he's like some sort of saint or something like that. And he's far from that.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. We'll pick this up on the other side. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in today on IBMTV.tv. Thank you for our sponsor, Lynn Shepherd, the IBMTV.tv dollar store. So you guys go check that out. My man, Mark Lee, right here, producer and director. Don't forget to check out his show on Monday nights, as well as his dance party and all the other great things that Mark does. He's a busy man. He's the hardest working man in show business, and don't forget tomorrow, Dr. Tawana Anthony, I believe she's debuting her show. So you can check that out on IBMTV.tv. This has been Funk Music with Zack. I love all you guys around the world. Let's get out of here. Mark, roll TC Fly, and then I'm going to roll my track over here, Dirty Vamp, and then we get into it on the other side, brother.
All right. Well, we get ready to roll TC Fly real quick. Let me see if I can't find that lovely brand and everything. So we're going to pop that right on right now.
Yeah, time for our roll call. You know how we do. We're going to say, what's up, California? Start on the West Coast. We're going to say, what's up, New York? Chicago. Chicago's in the house. Yeah, this is a Nappy Head Funk Army song. I'm closing with this today because you guys never heard this. New York, you in the house. LA, Houston, somebody. I've been funking with my phone. There you go. Nappy Head Funk Army, y'all. South Carolina, Texas, Houston, Georgia, Tennessee, New York, Rhode Island, Strong Island, y'all, Louisiana, Minneapolis, Australia, Germany, Dubai, England. Funk Music with Zack. Brought to you by the IBMTV.tv dollar store. I'll see y'all next week. Ain't nothing but a funky party. NappyHeadFunkArmy.com. You can find my music there. It's been a great show. Thanks to my main man, Mark Lee, behind the glass, keeping it real, keeping it sexy, keeping it funky back there. I got a new nickname for him. I call him the $6 billion man, but I'm never going to say why. He is the hardest working man in show business. And thank you for all you do for IBM TV.tv. So I guess we're going to jump into this other thing on the other side and sit here and chit chat for a hot minute.
Cool. We'd love to have you chat for us with a hot minute, and we'll see if some of the other people join us as well. If not, we'll just have spots on some spots and everything. But as we were saying, and by the way, Win Fon was definitely enjoying our conversation, and he said number 9, love. So he was giving you some positive love and all of that. So that's always a great thing to have happen and all of that. So he was giving you a big time shout out. So I know that we definitely appreciate when folks give us those powerful shout outs and all of that. So it was great seeing him give us that shout out and sharing his love for what we've got going on. But I still am not getting over the fact that these Republicans are trying to do whatever they can in the various states to try to overturn what plainly was a lost cause for them in the election. So I'm still trying to get over that and figure out how we can get them to understand that they lost. Last time I checked, and I don't know, maybe it's that sports analogy. We were talking about sports earlier, but, if you lose the game, you don't go back and say that even if you thought that you were cheated, you don't go back and try to overturn the results as badly as these folks have been trying to do it and everything. I know, so there were even some calls that I didn't agree with in a lot of past elections and definitely in some sports, but definitely, I just accepted the results. And I think that that's what these folks on the Republican side need to do as well. They just need to accept the results and understand that they lost and move it on. Because they're actually hurting themselves for the election in the next election cycle, which I believe will be in 2022. And I think a lot of folks are going to be really frustrated with them, and they'll, as they say, vote those suckers out. But if they want to keep putting themselves in that position, more power to them.
Well, the way I heard it, and you might know more than me, you probably do, they were concerned that if they don't cater to that man's base when they actually do run, like you said, in the upcoming elections, right, they're going to need that support of those people. So it's almost like they're selling their soul for something they know is wrong, just so they can latch onto one of them fan bases. Like whoever gets it, whether it's him running again, which I don't think he's going to, because personally I think he's a lot sicker than he lets on and his health is failing him. Second of all, I don't think his wife Ivanka's going to want to go through this stuff again. She seems like she's had her fill. As much as I don't know anything about her, you notice most first ladies, you find out stuff about them. We know nothing about that woman. We know absolutely nothing at all. And she's placated to America, but she was into some stuff too. She rode this train to get hers. You know what I'm saying? And you can tell it's obvious, whatever Russia plant spy crap she got going on, who knows? But it's something there. Is it worth looking into? No, it is not. But it's something there. But the way I heard it is that the Rick Rubios of the world, Marco Rubio, whoever his name is, right? He wants to Marco Rubio, I think. He wants to use that 70% of Trump's base that's riding with that redness crazy, the red crazy train, to use that as his base. So either way, they've changed the Republican Party of the Bushes and the Reagans, and even Barack to an extent, because I always said Barack was a Ronald Reagan black Republican. I always said that, right? And nothing against it. He did what he did, but I always consider Barack more of a black Republican of the Reaganish thing than actual Democrat, because that was just his swag. I think that's how he pulled it off. But and he still got plenty done in being the first black president. Of course, obviously, he's an idol to me. But, I think those days of the Reagan-Bush guys are gone. And now this Republican Party that's fighting amongst themselves, which for a change is good to see, because that was always us. Now it's them. So here's what the Democrats got to do. Take advantage of it like they did. Because when we used to have our infighting, they took complete advantage. That's how they got this guy in the White House. Now we need to play dirty pool. We need to take advantage. We need to move our golf ball a little closer to the hole with our hand. You know what I'm saying? We need to do all the tricks that they did only because that's what they did. And I don't personally think, to answer your question, that people realize how screwed up the Republican Party is. Because when they go to vote for anybody now, are they going to vote their conscience?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they going to vote craziness? And do people have the ability now to take some of that craziness, like that Rubio guy molded so he can, you know, say, hey, I got all these people behind me. That's the only reason why they're doing it, but in my opinion, and this is why they don't want to vet Biden, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why they don't want to vet him at all. And I agree with you. I just can't get it. I do agree. I heard somebody call it that they felt that it was almost like treason by some of the people in the Republican Party and everything along those lines. So would you put it that far? Would you say that it is almost treasonous to not have these folks unite? As I know that some of our folks like Kim and other people talk about the fact that we need unity. And I agree. I told you earlier, I think it was yesterday, that I'm claiming 2021 as the year of hope and unity. So I think that that's what we need to be centering on, is hope and unity, because I'm declaring this the year of hope and unity.
Yeah, I agree with you. We do need unity. We need peace, harmony, unity. And in our politics, it would be nice to get some transparency again. You know what I'm saying? And with our politics too, we got to remember, like, both parties are deranged. I'm sure, and you're probably right. They both are deranged, but some are deranged more than others. Because when your derangement actually says, hey, take these voting booths out of black areas, that's a different kind of derangement. You know, they don't do that in white areas. So there's a different kind of thing going on. Yes, both parties are deranged, but you got to look at the racial overtones for that. You can't take voting booths. You can't move the line from here and then move it over to here or here just to suit your needs when you want to win an election. So, you know, it's interesting. Hi, Kim. So it's interesting when, we say that, because the derangement part I get, but that other part is when, something that has been fought for and died for and people bled for eons, got beat down for, got spit on, trampled, and dogs and this and that, just to have the right to vote, only to have them move it and say, no, you can't. That's a little bit more deranged. Yes, they both may be the same, but then still there's a whole nother level to that derangement, because you got to throw in the racial factor. And until we fix that racial harmony and get people to understand, hey, we can't be hating on somebody because of skin color, gender, sex, and all that other stuff. We can't be doing that. Then I would say, okay, now we can actually start talking politics. But until we can get past the racial stuff, and stop and have people stop trying to deny brown skin and black skin people from voting, voter suppression. What's the use of having a vote if you're allowing voter suppression to take place in 2020? So yes, that's cool, and I think that both parties have a ways to go. That's my personal opinion about it.
And by the way, Kimberly was agreeing with you. She was saying that she agrees with you, and that no one should be removed from the whole concept of voting. And she wants to know, and that's a good question, I think, that a lot of folks, even watching, would be interested in, which is, why are we even still tolerating voter suppression? That was something that was going on way back in the era before the 60s. And we're in a new century. We're in the 21st century, and we still got folks that are dealing with voter suppression and that still are finding new ways to even do voter suppression. So, like I said, of course, there was the poll tax back in the day, but they're finding new versions of the poll tax and other ways to suppress the vote, whether it's with our African-American community, whether it's with the Latin community, whether it's with certain women's groups or a number of other special interests or groups that are out there and everything. We just got a number of ways that folks are finding ways to get suppressed. And I do agree with Kimberly that, yes, Native American Indians were also suppressed, and they are still being heavily suppressed even to this day. I mean, you got folks that were moved to an entire reservation away from their native homelands and all of that. And a lot of times were cut off from a lot of society gains and all of that in the way that we treated the Native American population. So
no doubt.
Definitely a group that received a lot of bad things in their life and everything, and we've got to treat them well as well. And I know that one of her favorite sayings is 16th century politics and 18th century education have held us back. And I definitely agree that both of those need to be seriously changed, because we do have a education system that is way back in the 18th century. I might even argue that it might be back in the 17th century in some respects and everything. But you've actually got a kids that are in school. So what are your feelings about the education system and the way the education system is going?
Here's what I think, and I'm going to answer this in two parts. When I said brown-skinned people, that I was including the Native Americans in that. But what I would to answer Kim's question, then I'm going to get to your thing about the kids. How do we stop it? The powers that be, and black people have no power in this country. No matter what you see, no matter what mayors you see, no matter brown-skinned people, including Native Americans, which I call brown-skinned people, right? Native Americans, black people, Latino people have no power. It's always been white men. So if a guy can say, hey, listen, and this is what he actually did. He went to the Postmaster General and he said, remove all of the early voting boxes. So that was done by the commander-in-chief. So that's where the power starts. And to answer your question, Kim, how do we stop that is get somebody in here that's not going to allow that. So to answer that question, now we have somebody that's not going to allow that. So that kind of answers that question. Now, Mark, with your, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion. Great question, Kim. Thank you for jumping in here. With the kids in school, it's like this. It's like, and this is pre-COVID. I'm not talking COVID kids. I'm talking pre that. When you have such a gap in economic wealth, the schools in the lower economic areas, be they Native American, Hispanic, the ghetto, the hood, call it what you want, those schools, by the very nature of not having, will not produce the same amount of higher educational kids as, say, some kids that go to a private school, be they black or white. I know a lot of the rappers now, they send all their kids to private schools. They want you to think they jump around with joints in their mouth, holding 40s with their pants to the ground. But the RZA and Wu-Tang Clan and all of them, their kids go to school in jackets, skirts, ties, and shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it's the image that we project into the black community and the brown skin community. Hey, I want you to be like Thug Life. I want you to be like this. I want you to be like that. Hanging out on the corner, selling rock and smoking and drinking 40s. That's the cool thing. That's the quick money. And so we've been brainwashed and tricked into that. The kids that even want to go to school get mocked because they don't want to be that. So that starts in the home, okay? In the black communities, to answer your question, Mark. If you start in the home and you tell your kids what their self-worth is really worth, not what they wear, not what they see on TV, not their social media group, and not the music and entertainment they watch. A child's self-worth has to start with one or two parents, whoever's in the home, uncle, aunts, whatever, you got nephews, starts there. You have to make your child feel they're important without any of these things. You have to make them feel like their opinion is heard and is valid without any other extra stuff. That extra stuff then becomes not necessary for them to achieve and reach their goals. But you have some kids that won't go to school unless they got on a 500 pair of Jordans and their mother and father struggling to pay the light bill. Yeah. So what does the kid do? How does he get that $500? He goes and he's going to sell drugs for it. And then he's in the wrong crowd already simply because he refused to wear cheap sneakers. But that's the image. I wish Michael Jordan would do like Stephon Marbury. And this is why I'm not a Jordan fan. Stephon Marbury came out with sneakers called Starberries, right? I had a pair. The sneakers cost $13. His pants and his shirts that I wear sometimes, Starberries, all $13. One price for all of his stuff, $13, right? The NBA banned his sneaker and wouldn't let him wear it on the court. He went to China. They built statues of him, Stephon Marbury. The only player that wore his stuff in the NBA that was willing to take the fine was Ben Wallace of the Detroit Pistons. Now, all the black NBA players was modeling their Nikes, their ponies, their FUBUs, their this, their that. They was all modeling all of that stuff. Stephon Marbury said, hey, the kids that I grew up with in Queens, they can't afford $500 pair of Michael Jordans. So that tells you the corporate thing. Michael Jordan says, buy my sneakers. He's making them for pennies on the dollar in Taiwan. And he sells them over here for $400, $500, $600, $700 a pair. Come on, for a pair of sneakers? That's ridiculous. So that self-esteem right there is shot for that kid if you don't have that. And we have to teach these kids you don't need none of that. And if somebody's making fun of you, they want what you got. Physically, clothes are just clothes. If somebody's making fun of another kid for being smart, that's because they are jealous. So kids need to be taught to be leaders. They need to be taught that their self-esteem matters without the fluff. And I'm not saying we don't get our daughters name brand stuff, because we do. I'm just saying we make sure they understand you don't need this. This is a luxury. This is a gift. This is something that, yes, you can have a little swag and fit in, but you don't need this stuff to fit in, you know? And that's what parents get it twisted. These people out here, sometimes I see, right? White, black, straight, gay, right? You know they don't have the money for this crap, but yet they got little baby shoes that their kids could only wear for like 6 months. And I'm like, the shoes cost $200. I'm like, what are you doing? Your kid does not need a pair of Nikes when he can't even walk. Exactly. He's going to grow out of them. What are you see? And this is the mind game. This is how corporate plays the mind game. They make everybody think you got to have. Like me, I got a cheap Galaxy phone. They will never seduce me into buying an iPhone 50.
Right. Not the iPhone 50.
No, you're not going to seduce me to buy your iPhone 50. Sorry.
Not happening. By the way, Kimberly was saying that Kamala should make a difference, and I agree with that. She was also saying that education was never fair. They have a rule that a certain amount of children must fail, and as one that's worked in the testing kind of environment, I can tell you that that is true. A lot of these schools do have that kind of concept of a certain amount of folks must fail. It's that bell curve system and all of that. And she was also saying that eliminating private schools and making all children go to the same schools would balance things. So I don't know about that, because I do know that I have some friends that are part of the charter school movement and all of that. So sometimes I know that they are teaching folks even things that aren't sometimes taught in our school system and things along that line. Because sometimes the school system can teach things in a certain way that is only going to put out one viewpoint of the world. It might be like a overly Eurocentric view, or it might leave out some other kind of histories that are out there. Yeah. So definitely, I do think sometimes even overly religious kind of viewpoint and things of that nature. Parochial. So I agree with that. So you're so right about that. So that's one of the things that I might say that we need to look at, even if we're talking about school reform and all of that. But Kimberly was also saying that all schools should be treated like private schools with uniforms. And definitely she was saying that she would love for folks to check out the girl shoes.
Jimmy Chow shoes price tag. Woo, that's right. $2,000-$3,000. I know what you're talking about, Kim. I know exactly what you're talking about. iPhone 50. That's right. They'll never convince me. I'm staying with my Galaxy 2. I got the oldest Galaxy phone. I just told Mark before we did the show, right, Kim? I said my phone is acting up. It's not working. But I'm not getting rid of it until it completely dies. If I can check the internet and take a few pictures and check Facebook, that's all I care about. They will never, ever. I mean, both my daughters have better phones than me. When we pull out our phones, they're embarrassed. I said, baby, a phone don't make a human being. You know what I'm saying? I tell her I was communicating without a phone for many, many years. So trust me, I'll be okay. But no, I did not buy an iPhone 50. No.
I agree. It's going to be the iPhone 50. The iPhone 50 is probably going to come a lot sooner than we think and all of that. But I do have to ask you this. What do you think of the possibility of people giving their phones at such an early age? Because I know that sometimes, I told you one time, I think it was last year, back in 2020, that I was shocked when my nephews called me and they're like 10 and 11 now and everything. Oh, actually, that's not right. Let's see. One was born in 2008. The other was born in 2009. So, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, 10, 11, about to be 11 and 12 or somewhere around that age range and everything. But I was just shocked that they were calling me. But I've heard of some people that have got their kids at 5 or 6.
I got an answer for you. When you finish your question, I have an answer for you. Finish your question. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
As simple as this. And I say this with all due respect to every parent out there. I know because my 12-year-old got her phone when she was 10. She had the watch phone. And then she went to another phone. Now she's 12 going on 13. But simply put, parents nowadays have to play this bargaining game with kids, right? Now, not all kids, but the good kids, they deserve to stay in the loop of, say, social status. I know, it's funny. I'm going to make you laugh, Kim. Watch. The good kids, iPhone 50, the good kids, they deserve to stay in a certain social status for their self-esteem. And going back to that. So I can't send my daughter to school with no phone in junior high school.
Right.
That's because she won't be focused on work. She has it in her pocket. She's not allowed to use it. All the kids are not allowed to use them in junior high, but they have it. So it's a status. And parents do it so kids can shut the blank up. That's why parents do it. And Kim knows. You do things as a parent, you give and take. Sometimes as a parent, you just want your child to stop talking. So you're like, okay, I'll make a deal with you. You're right. You get good grades. You don't screw up and don't break it or lose it. You can get it. We'll get you one. And that's the bottom line. Parents, sometimes we have to be like the Senate. We have to bargain for stuff. I know my child will do well, but if my child's in school and everybody's making fun of her because she doesn't have one, again, is that a self-esteem issue? Yes. Can she fight that off? No, because everybody's got one. So it would be like you and me, Mark, back in the day, and us going to school and we didn't have, remember those things that used to wrap your books up in those rubber things that you wrap all your books up and you can't, because back then we had books when we went to school. So if you didn't have one of them and your papers was all over the place, everybody made fun of you. Or if you didn't have the jelly shoes or the Playboy shoes, if you didn't have that, people's going to make fun of you. It was a status thing. My dad had to buy me a maxi coat because I wouldn't go to school without it. When I saw the Mac and everybody had maxi coats and it was the 70s style, I had to have the floppy hat and the maxi coat. Otherwise, I was like, I can't go to school like this. I had a winter coat. He said, boy, your coat is fine. It's for the winter. I was like, yeah, but it's not stylish. I said, Dad, everybody's dressing like this. And I showed him Max Julian in the Jet magazine, right? You remember the Mac, right? Yeah. I said, everybody's going to be going to school like this. I said, Farmers Market is selling the coat for like $50, $60. I said, I got to have it. And then I said, I have to have a leather coat. I was spoiled. I said, these are two things I got to have. And he knew if I didn't get those things, my school history was over. Sometimes parents give and take. But then you got to be good. And I was a good kid. So my dad, but that's why, Mark. That
makes sense. And I said, to be fair to Julius and Langston, I do need to put out their correct ages and everything. And they are 12 and 11. So, yes, okay. Julius was born in 2008 and Langston was born in 2009. So they are 12 and 11. But definitely, Kimberly was also saying that when she was, when her son was 3, she strapped a flip phone around the waist to track him. So definitely she had that track him.
That's hilarious. The flip phone. I forgot about the flip phone. Whoa.
Hey, I had a flip phone a couple of years ago, so I'm not going to talk junk about the flip phone because the flip phone can actually work if you don't have one of those fancy iPhone 50s that you were just talking about. The flip phone can just be just as effective as it needs to be if you just try to make a simple phone call.
Kim is right because we do, as parents, use that well because I can see where my kid's on the bus. So we do use it, Kim, for tracking as well. But I was just making light of it because I knew that Jennifer and I talked about what ages they was going to need phones. Now, Kayla, on the other hand, she's a junior, but since like 2 years ago, she does all her work on her phone. Homework, tests, everything. Yeah, she writes her papers. Everything is on her phone. Everything. But she's a junior, and most of the juniors now they have a tablet and they have their phone. She's laughing. It's funny. Yes, that's right. Some things are not worth fighting over. That's right, and paying for. That's right. So the kids that are fortunate, my daughters are fortunate. They got their phones. I'm sure there are kids whose parents can't afford it. Yes, the book belt, Kim. That's what I was talking about. The book belt. She knew exactly what I meant. If you didn't have one of them to match your outfit, because they came in red, green, blue, black, purple. They did the book strap. Yes, to wrap around your books. We matched that with our outfit. We had to have at least 4 or 5 of them. And if you just came in with your books hanging, we'd be like, yo, where's your book strap? Because, we all rode the bus together. So you had time to pick on people. Back then, these kids now, they're not tough. Back when we was coming up, you had to have a thick skin.
Oh, you had to have
kids were going to rank it.
You had to have the right things as well. I know she's talking about Converse. You better have the right shoes, and that could either be Converse or there was a couple of other shoes that were right around that time. I know I had a couple of Converses, but we also had some things that folks don't even know about to this day. But I don't know about you, but I know you're into the music game. But do you remember when you had that like the record player that you could carry with you because it was set up almost like a case and everything. So everybody remembers those. And if you didn't have the right kind, folks would definitely play you and definitely talk joke about you. If it was the wrong color, or if it was the wrong style, they'd be sitting there going like, why are you bringing that weak ass game in here?
Exactly. That's right. Because see, again, your parents knew. They was like, listen, Mark's going to want certain things for status and esteem. And it made you feel better. Because when you walked into a place and you had the right stuff on, you fit in. And nowadays, because of the computer aspect of a phone, and thank God we can track our kids with the phones, and which is great. And this is why, and I'm going to flip for a minute. I want your opinion, and yours too, Kim. Like when they said they were going to try to put trackers on us and all this stuff, I thought to myself, but don't we already have that with our phones?
Yep.
Right? You've been doing this shit for years. What? Now you telling me you're going to track me and stick something in me? You've been tracking me since the barcode on my license. You know what I'm saying? My credit card, you can track everything. If I'm carrying a phone, you can find me. You don't need to put something else on me because we all got our phones on us.
Well, I'm going to answer your question really quickly. What's the most important thing that everybody has to have? They have to have it for their job. They have to have it every time they go for a job interview. They have to have it just about every time that they go anywhere. And no, I'm not talking about the license, even though that's one of them. But I'm talking about something that everybody's supposed to have with them, and they give it to you at a very young age, and you keep it with you for the rest of your life. Isn't the Social Security card a form of tracking?
Social Security card, that's right. And there are a lot of interesting concepts about when and why that came out. That's right. Acceptance is important, Kim. You got to be accepted. That's right. Self-esteem. But there are a lot of interesting concepts about how that whole thing came about. And I'm not really sure. That would be a good show to research, and do a show on the origin of Social Security, why it came out, why they tracking this, and how did it become a thing to where you got to pay into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, who decided that? Like, yes, I could pay into my own thing, but who decided I have to pay into this thing? Now, granted, we need it, but I want to know who sat back and said, you know what? We're going to track everybody, and just for the hoots, we're going to charge them every time they buy something or every job they work or whatever, a tax, and we're going to call Social Security, and they're going to have to pay into this thing whether they ever use it or not. Think about how many people never even get to use their Social Security. Where does that money go?
Yeah, exactly. And Kim actually brought us a good point, which a lot of folks might not be wanting to hear about, but she was actually saying that we've been tracked and tapped since the first phone. So it's not just been tracked, but we've also been tapped as well. So they're hearing your entire conversations, probably documenting them and all of that. And then she was also saying that Social Security card, and they only issue 2 to you in your entire life. So you only get about 2 in your entire life and everything along those lines. So she's very much around that way. And by the way, she was saying that she loves us guys, and she was saying that we should ask one of our regulars, David K. Johnson, tomorrow on the show that he'll be appearing on, which is definitely a lot around economics and the economic programming that they do on Mondays. But apparently David K. Johnson has got some interesting thoughts about Social Security as well as the phones.
I think we all do, because here's my thing, and thank you, Kim, because, this is a good hour that we do after Funk Music with Zack. I love this hour as long as I can make it. I'm not too busy. But the thing that and I was going to say this about Social Security, right? Whoever decided it, the money, when it first started coming out, just think about, because I know my sister, she only lived like 2.5 years after she retired. So she never got her full Social Security benefits. My dad, he retired. He only lived 6 years. So all the money that they worked and put in over the 40 years, they only got together, they only got like 9 years worth of Social Security, my sister and my father. You know what I'm saying? And this is why when people ask me, and I turned 62 and I did last year, they say, hey, ain't you going to wait to 65? I was like, no, I don't care. Pay me less. I want my Social Security now. I'm 62. Give it to me. Because you cats been holding my money for 40-something years, and I'm getting mine while I can get it. And that's not much, but I'm just saying that because I don't trust them. when it comes to that Social Security money. And also, too, I was going to say something pertaining to something that Kim had brought up about, the government and how we've been tracked. Remember beepers? Remember when everybody had to have a beeper?
Oh, yeah, the beeper.
And also, I told people, listen, they laughed at me, but I am firmly convinced that when they put the first cable box in your house, like Kim said, they was hearing everything that we said. I used to tell my ex that. She's like, nah, you're just paranoid. I was like, I'm telling you, they're watching us through that cable box. They can reverse the signal. They're listening to us right now. I'm telling you.
You even go back further than the first cable box and everything, because I agree with you about the cable box. But, I used to watch this old TV show and everything, and it was actually a couple of old TV shows. But do you remember, I think it was Andy Griffin, where they called the neighborhood, and the neighborhood operator would be totally listening into the conversations and things of that nature? So do you think that stopped when we went high tech? Because if they were doing that with low tech, they got to be doing it with high tech.
Yeah, Hoover started that. He was making records of people, like literal records. That's how they used to phone tap criminals. He would have the operator, like you said, switch over, and they would be recording Al Capone and all of them doing all that dirt. That's how they gathered all that information, man. J. Edgar Hoover was a mastermind behind this stuff. If anybody was a patriot and a spy at the same time for America, it was J. Edgar Hoover. Because he had information on everybody. He had the dirt. He had the lowdown. J. Edgar Hoover was the modern back then Trump, even though he was president. Because Trump got dirt on people. Because all of those parties that he has, I'm sure he got sneaky PB cameras, and he like, listen, you better vote for me. Remember this?
Yeah, remember that? He got some dirt.
Remember that threesome that Joe had?
But he's not the only one with dirt. Remember, when was the last time you heard from that madam that was supposed to be out there and everything? Because we haven't even heard about that case, because she's got all kinds of dirt on all kinds of people, because that's why we haven't heard anything about that case, because I'm sure she got stuff on athletes,
I'm predicting politicians. Yeah, I'm predicting she's going to end up like Epstein, dead.
Yep.
Killed by a blind guy, all right, in his cell. Because believe me, the people that run the whole world, the kings and queens of the whole world, they know. That's why when somebody gets going, it's only because they was about to drop the dime. There's a very interesting movie out. It's not out yet, but it's coming out. And it might even be on Netflix now. It's about the CIA experimenting with LSD, and the scientists that was in the hotel room ended up jumping out of the window, and they said he committed suicide. But he was thrown out of the window, number one. And number two, he was probably thrown out of the window because he was getting ready to tell people the government is dropping LSD in certain areas of the world and experimenting, because right around that time, a lot of certain groups started going off their rocker. Like these people that said, hey, come join my cult. All of this stuff had to do with them dropping peyote and LSD. Because when you put that in somebody's water and you stand up in front of somebody in a white robe and they're on hallucinogenics, you could tell them anything. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the government knew this, though, because the government was giving it to these people to experiment on us. You know what I'm saying? The whole hippie thing in California, when everybody was taking LSD, those cats wasn't making it. That stuff was given to them. You know what I'm saying? It was given to them to watch and see how they would do. No, I
totally agree with you on that and everything, because definitely there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and it's still going on to this day. Because and it's happening on a lot of different levels. I would even add to what Kimberly was talking about, it not just being on one side, meaning the Republican or the right side, or even the Democrats and the left side, because I am still convinced to this day that what happened to that gentleman that was in the Commerce Department, the brother, then the plane and everything, you can't tell me that was a accident. That was something that was done intentionally in that whole situation. And that's just one case of that situation and happening and everything. So a lot of times you're sitting there going like, I cannot believe what our government is doing, but they've been doing this for a number of years.
Forever.
And by the way, Kimberly is letting us know that she'll be here in the house with us on next week. So we'll definitely look forward to seeing that and everything. And she was told that never to count on the Social Security. she gets it because she saw two people die before they got there. So wow.
Yeah. And my thing is, Kim, what happens to that money? And thank you for jumping in, man. Yes, Beepers. What happens to that money? Because that money should then trickle down to the next family member and create a little bit of wealth or whatever. But they take it. They take it, man. And I don't know where it goes. It definitely don't go back into the system. And thank you, Kim, for those awards. I didn't say this before because I was waiting to see you personally. But thank you. Those awards, I'm going to take mine to the printer and get it printed out. So you, Nick, and Kit, and Wynn, and everybody else that put that together, thank you. That was a beautiful thing, and I appreciate that. I'm going to hang those on my wall, somewhere back there on my wall of fame. You see all the stuff I got hanging. So I'm going to put I'm going to hang it on my wall.
By the way, I learned something recently. So I'm talking to Ankit earlier today and everything. I miscounted, or they miscounted. I thought that I had done good because I had 3 awards, but they also apparently had given me one for the best in podcasting as well. So I've actually got 4 awards from IBM TV. So it's not 3.
Because you're the man. You're the man. That's why you're the man. You deserve 4.
Like I said, I thought I was only doing 3, but they said it was 4 actually. And by the way, Kim said that antenna TV is one way only if it transmits for you, and cable is bi-directional and can transmit data both ways.
Thank you, Kim. And I've been saying that since first home bus came out, because in my area in New York, we were the first to get it. And I said that. I was like, oh, they're spying on us. I even told my dad that he was alive then. And I said, Pop, they're spying on us, man. I said, because this thing is in the house and it ain't even from us. I'm serious. Kim's right. They know. I'm telling you. The government
they've been doing for a while. She even said the first taps on the phones was on the switchboards. Yep. That's what I was talking about, where the women would operate them. Think of that. Women who had access to a headset to listen to all the gossip. And that's what I was talking about when I was mentioning like Andy Griffin. And there were a number of those other shows that were set in that time.
Laughing had that lady. Lily
Laughing had it.
Ringing dingy.
I think the Waltons had it.
Yeah, right.
There was a number of those kind of shows that had it. And then, I agree. That's the one I was talking about. Kimberly Calhoun said it was the worst suicide they ever saw, shot 4 times in the back. So how do you shoot yourself in the back? That's what they were claiming with the Ron, the Commerce Secretary.
Yeah. See, and again, they get away with this because they control everything, you know?
Oh, well, we will. She was letting folks know.
Don't worry, Kim. We're going to look out for you. We know we got this recorded. We know you ain't committed suicide. So we don't want nothing to happen to you. Don't worry. I'll be the first one at CSI saying, hey, she ain't do this.
And I'll be right there behind them. So I agree. And by the way, she was saying that we earned the awards and then we rock. So definitely, I appreciate that.
Y'all are cool with that, man. That was great. It was, I showed my daughter, like, listen, I got an award. I was so excited. I felt like I was in like high school. I was like, hey, I got an award. You know what I'm saying? For something that I actually like, funk. Well, Mark, you the man. You the man.
Well, like I said, I think next year you're going to have about 4 or 5 awards as well because you've been doing some amazing things.
I have my award right now. To see you smile, to see Kim smiling, that's the only award I need to have a platform. That's cool. That's the award right there. Like we say in funk is its own reward. You know what I'm saying? So this is its own reward. To get a chance to do this and go around the world and chat and laugh. Because let's face it, when we was talking the other day, you and I, and we was talking about shows and what we're going to do and going forward and how to make things better. So anybody out there watching, man, please send suggestions in how we can make the shows better because we actually want to be a better network for you on IBMTV.TV. Hanging out.
No doubt about that. We definitely want to see great things happening here. They're doing some amazing things, and we definitely want to try to carry it, go on and everything. And by the way, she was saying that the awards were fun. And that that's right, no other place in the world. And she's laughing right now. So we definitely appreciate giving her that laughter and all of that stuff because we definitely like seeing laughter coming from Kim, one of the founders of this and everything. And by the way, one of the things that Nick said on one of the awards that they were giving me, it might have been that second one, was that they were talking about the platform and the fact that it is a world platform. Because they were saying that, of course, I've been doing a number of things around the community, whether that was Central or whether that was WCOM, but they weren't always world platform. So it's definitely glad to be on a platform that is worldwide and that you're able to share with a number of countries around the world.
Yeah, it is. It's always a pleasure to know that even though we're here and we're talking about things, some of the things that are happening around the world, we all have that in common. Like we all had the COVID thing in common. We all have, certain things in common where we have to band together. We have to think as one. I look at the world like one big giant experiment, and we're all like atoms, protons, and neutrons. And when we start to churn, burn, and turn, we're just all bouncing off each other, like P-Funk said. We're just a biological speculation sitting here vibrating. And if you break down the human body, then you break down outer space itself. We're connected to all of that. The stardust, the stars, the DNA, all of this stuff. We're just part of it. It's not about us. We're just part of something greater. And that's where I'm trying to reach that, like, okay, we're part of this greater thing. What is that greater thing? Because you notice nobody never came back from where they are and said, hey, I'm coming back here. Everybody who ever left this place says, no, I'm staying over there. So it's something bigger than us,
So they're not going over there and coming back and telling us what the real deal is. They're letting us kind of like just fend for ourselves and see what happens in this worldly place and everything. But they're basically, you're saying that what they're finding over there is amazing, and they're not trying to come back and tell us the tales of what's going on.
Because it's about the spiritual. It ain't about the physical. We're like spiritual beings in a physical body. So celestial speaking, like, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, wherever the party is, like say, for instance, wherever Prince is, that's where I want to be. Wherever, Freddie Mercury is, that's where I want to be. Wherever, people like that are, John Lewis, that's where I want to be. Martin Luther King, Kennedy, whatever. Although Kennedy, I know where he is. Kennedy is hanging out in, let's just say, the brothel of heaven. The Kennedys, they're hanging out with Marilyn Monroe. I already know where they are. You know what I'm saying? Because Kennedy, technically, and Bill Clinton were the first two black presidents. They did exactly what a black man, the epitome, would do. Come in, hang out, and then get shot. You know what I'm saying? Now, Clinton kind of did it differently. But yes, technically, I always considered Kennedy and Clinton the first two black presidents. And that's just me laughing because the things they was doing, they was like, yo, I got the White House now? You know what I mean?
They were having their own parties and everything. But, there were some other ones that were having their own parties as well, including some that I think were on the quiet tip, but they might have been having some parties as well. Because I'm not too sure that, FDR might not have been getting some party going on, and some of the other early ones. Definitely Jefferson was getting his party going on when he was president.
Bush was sniffing coke. We know that because he admitted, yes, I used to sniff coke. You think he stopped sniffing coke because he became the president? No. All George Bush wanted to do, he told the vice president, Cheney, you run the country. I'm going to hang out on the aircraft carrier. I'm going to hang out and just give me my lines because that's what Bush was about. His dad was already down in it. Now, his dad was deep. George Bush Sr., CIA director and all of that other stuff. He was responsible for Project Blue Book, which hit all the alien stuff. So They knew about all of this stuff. But yes, wherever they are hanging out, that they brought that to the White House. Because Kennedy, for sure, was partying. Because you don't have your main, I got to put this delicately. So for women that are watching, but you do not have your side piece come to the White House and sing, happy birthday, Mr. President. You know what I'm saying? You just know. And his wife was sitting there like, damn, you brought this in our house. You know what I'm saying? Jackie's got to be saying, you got to be kidding me. You know what I'm saying? So, again, black president.
Well, like I said, do you think that as soon as they got back on that particular evening, because I do remember hearing about it. Of course, I was like a child when it happened. But
do you think
when they got back to the house that Jackie was basically cussing Mr. Kennedy out at the time, basically having a field day cussing?
He slept on the couch that night. He went downstairs to wherever the janitor was sleeping. Because I'm sure Jackie was like, yo, really? Her? Of all people? Really? I already know what you're doing. Come on, Mr. President. Happy birthday. Come on, man. And you did it on national TV, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that was funny, Kim, because I'm telling you, he did it. Right. He had a set on him to do something like that. This is how much power had went to his head. He's in the tux. His wife is there. Everybody in the world's watching, and she's up there. Happy birthday. And you know what happened shortly after that? They found her dead in the hotel room with track marks, and she never had shot a drug in her life. All right? So her happy birthday got her executed. Besides all the stuff she knew, because she died after Kennedy got shot. Because she was getting ready to come out and say some stuff. And it was like, no, you can't say all that stuff. Because she knew what had happened. She knew what it was, And for people that don't know, that think, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, this and that, don't buy that. I know, right? I don't think they care, Kim. I think they just did to get what they can get. Like, I know for sure this for here, Ivanka, she can care less about President Donald Trump. She's just there to get what she can get.
Oh, you can see that she don't care. I mean, all you got to do is watch their chemistry when they're together. I mean, half the time she's over there and got her cheek turned into the other side. You try to get a kiss or something, and she's over there like, nah, you going to kiss the side of my
Because he's
face.
doing this. Ivanka's like, you got to be the lamest ass dance in the world. Stop doing that. Because he's doing that. That's why, I'm telling you right now, because a woman don't want you embarrassing her like that, dancing like YMCA, and you ain't doing none of the moves. You just doing that. You ain't doing YMCA. So what you doing?
Yeah, but you're so right about that. But a lot of these ladies knew what was going on in their life and everything. Even some of our great leaders were doing some things off on the side and everything.
Loretta King knew about Martin. I ain't mad at Martin. He was doing what he did. He was a powerful man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at Martin. She knew.
I'm not mad at Martin. I'm not mad at Malcolm. You know that Betty Shabazz knew some of those things that were going on and some of the other ones that were out
Muhammad
there.
Ali.
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali came out and said, listen, I'm a Muslim, but my weakness is women. He said it. You know what I'm saying? He said, that's my weakness. He said, I can't control it. But it's funny, and I'm not defaming women at all, because it's just funny how, when I think back as a kid, the stuff that they used to let us see on TV was incredible. My kids would never see that now, because they would doctor it, the network would cut it this way and cut it that way. But back then, you was getting live raw footage. And anybody that's watching this show, you go Google John F. Kennedy's presidential ball with Marilyn Monroe and watch everybody's reaction when she got up there and sang. The whole room.
I remember seeing the clip, and everybody had that, they were shocked. They were blown away by what was going on and everything. But now we got to be fair here and everything, because that power thing can go both ways and everything.
Oh,
so
totally.
I'm not going to sleep on the fact that, yes, we can talk about some of the great man leaders and what is known for a fact they were probably doing on the side and everything. But let's not be unfair about this thing. Queen Sheba, Cleopatra, Maria Antoinette, and even some of the Oprah, they are getting theirs as well. So
yeah. The women got theirs. No doubt. Because ain't no way Stedman's hanging out this long. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way. Now, Stedman's taken care of. If you ever want to see something funny, watch Dave Chappelle and the skit he does about getting Oprah pregnant. He booted Stedman out. Dave Chappelle said it funny. Maybe it was a jealous wife. Yeah, it could be. But Kim, with that Kennedy thing, they said she never shot drugs and she was getting ready to spill the beans. I don't know.
And that's actually part of what we're talking about. I do think that powerful women can get away with it as well, because, like I said, I think there are a number of powerful women that can get away with things and as well and everything. I've looked at. I'm not going to be surprised if Kamala, if at some point she does decide to do something off on the side, it's not going to surprise me.
I can't see her. I can't. But you never know. But to answer Kim's question, I don't know if it's okay. I know this from experience. The heart wants what the heart wants. Exactly. That's what I know that. Now, I'll leave it at that. I don't know if it's okay. I mean, you got an image. I don't know what Michelle ever did, or I don't know what, say, Lady Bird Johnson ever did. I don't know, if who's Nancy Reagan, You know, she was a Hollywood starlet before her and Ron got together. But I don't think while they was together, you know, some couples you could just tell. They're like down.
You can tell, but let me just put it this way. And some of these people had some power that folks don't even give them the recognition for. And I'm going to name one that's way back in history. Eleanor Roosevelt definitely helped a lot with what was going on with
she was running the country,
including over here with North Carolina Central University. But she also got to go on a private flight with Amelia Earhart from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. I mean, I know that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But how many women you know to go pop in a plane with another woman and just gotta like go on this nice little flight and everything?
If you do the history of Eleanor Roosevelt, she was our real first ambassador because she got all the stuff done. She took care of her family in the White House. She kept things private, and she was the one behind the New Deal. She was the one behind all the stuff that people were trying to get: housing, education. People come from the war, the GI Bill, and she was the one that actually Roosevelt would talk to all the time. Now, Eleanor, now it's coming out, and I'm not speaking out of turn. Eleanor was bisexual. She was a lesbian because she had a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? But she kept all that tight. Now, imagine being that way back then. And you can't even talk about who you really are, and yet you're still running the country. She should be on the Mount Rushmore with everybody else. That woman, she should be up there, and just on her own for whatever she done, because she was an amazing woman. And I'm waiting for the movie to come out. I want that girl that played in that movie. What's her name? The famous actress that played in that movie with James Caan, where she broke his knees, whatever her name is, broke his leg. You know the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which movie you're talking about. But she
got trapped in the snow. She would play the part of Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah, she definitely needs to get that honor and everything. I agree with you on that. But, you know, there was a lot of women like that were not known for everything that they were doing in society, and that they might have had lady friends and things of that nature. I mean, one of the main people that's known in the Christian community and everything, and known right here in Durham, is Pauli Murray. And Pauli Murray is definitely, most people believe that she was definitely also a lesbian as well, even though she was a world leader in terms of even civil rights. She was actually the one that wrote the Brown versus Board of Education decision.
Wow. She's from down here?
Yeah, she's from right here in this area, right here in Durham, North Carolina area. And actually there's a house that is her original house that they've got into the Pauli Murray house is right not that far from downtown and everything. So definitely she is a well-known person, and definitely there's a lot of thought about what her sexuality may have been or may not have been and all of that. But even coming back to, our women leaders and all of that, I do know that I think that, I'm not going to be surprised if AOC doesn't get a little bit of fun and joy and everything. She seems to have that kind of attitude, and she's one of your fellow New Yorkers. But speaking of New Yorkers, we're going to bring that West Coast vibe into everything. And we've got Brother Jeff in the house. So Brother Jeff, glad to see you in the house. And another one of our great award winners. He won an award.
Congratulations.
I had no competition.
I love the Prince third eye glasses. I love that. That's tight.
I had no competition. I got to protect my third eye now. Come on.
Yeah. You see my tat right there. Hold on, I'll show you. See that?
Yeah, baby.
The third eye right there.
I didn't mean to cause you any pain. I want to see you laughing in the purple rain.
So what's happening, brother? How you been, man? How's everything? Happy New Year to you, man. I miss you.
We had a great New Year's party. I got a chance to pop in on his party. The party was slamming. The party was jumping. He had some musicians going on. We were just having a good old time.
Yeah. How are you, Zach?
I'm good, man. I've been on the grind, trying to get things done and, just trying to plan for the future like everybody else, economically, spiritually, mentally, just trying to stay strong and take care of my family,
Well, I put $100 into each of my Bitcoin yesterday, and it's already gone up 1,000 points. It's rising. Put $100 in, dudes. Put $100 in. Just put $100.
Tell us about the Bitcoins, because I've heard a lot of people, even on our show, talk about Bitcoins. I don't understand Bitcoins. I'm not. That's why I haven't invested in it. So tell me what Bitcoins are and why we should do
it. Don't even think about it. Put it in. It's going up. Put $100 in and leave it.
What is actually? Is it a stock? What is it?
It's digital coin, and you just put $100 in. You can go on PayPal and learn how to do it, and just fucking do it. And then it's fantastic. And $100 will turn into 1,000 by in 6 months, and it's money while you sleep.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. I'll definitely have to check into that. So how long have you been doing Bitcoins, Jeff? And do you think that this is going to be the wave of the future? We're going to get rid of the dollar bill and we're going to get rid of credit cards. We're just all going to do Bitcoin?
No. There's too much money in the addiction of, heroin credit cards, and so we have to be gentle with ourselves, but also learn more about digital coinage, because those people that are, it was at 25,000 on Friday. It's at 34,000 right now. And that means that it's gone up like 300% over the weekend. So if you would have put $1,000 in, you would have made, $10,000 or $5,000, So the bottom line is you can take it out once it goes up. You don't have to sell it. It's not like stock. It's easier. And we need to have dialogue between us brothers, so we don't have to, we're not being incredibly gifted with monetizing our shows yet, on this thing. And we spend hours a week going live and doing what we're doing is passionate, and we are the medicine. But until that happens, throw a hun. Just throw a hun in there and leave it. There's Bitcoins, there's Ethereum, and there's Litecoin. Those are the 3 coins that everybody is on the top working with right now, and they're all going to explode. And you don't have to buy gold. You don't have to buy silver. And I don't know a lot about Bitcoin. All I know is that people are having me go in. You get a wallet. You watch it every couple days. And if you want to put more in, you'll make more, because
what's the minimum?
Yeah, what's the minimum?
There is no minimum.
So you can put
like $1. You can put $1 in it.
Well, more or less, there is it has to be like $50 or $25. But the bottom line is that it's on the move, and this is the inside scoop right now. We're doing trading right now, and I'm telling you that the inside scoop. Last night I put in. My buddy said it's at 34,000. I said 5 hours ago I put $100 in on Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin, BTC, and I got a wallet, Coinbase Pro. It's connected to my bank. It has never failed me or made me go broke or stolen my money, and so I believe in it, and I believe that those of us behind the scenes that are playing in there are gonna not do a Microsoft thing or Apple or Amazon, get in early thing, but it's going up right now, and so. I put in $1,000 last year, and my account is at 3,300 right now, and I did nothing.
By the way, Kimberly just said that she had a friend that bought in 9 years ago, and put in some money in there, and he's already made, it looks like $15 million and paid for his education and all of that. So, $15,000. All right.
Yeah, 15,000. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. $15,000. My fault.
Somebody told me that the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, that are not the Oakland Raiders anymore, or the San Diego Chargers, that the Oakland Raiders paid $6 billion for their stadium. Billion. In the old days, a stadium cost $3 or $4 million. Nothing is cheap anymore, and so. This digital coinage thing, I think, is something that we need to share with each other. We need to start sharing this and having a dialogue once a week with each other on it.
But I got a question. Okay. I get kind of like the concept, but what is it that leads Bitcoin to actually produce hundreds to thousands? What's the process that this particular thing? Because so far to me, it's just a word.
Any pyramid. If I put $1 into your pyramid, that pyramid grows by $1. If somebody puts $500 into it, it grows by 500. And there's a logarithm, because those people that are buying it, it's a game.
So it's the pyramid game.
More or less.
I get it now. Yeah. I know what it is now. I get it. I used to be in one of them back in the day,
Yeah, but the deal is it's not an envelope, and you don't meet somebody. It's online, and there's these secure wallets. They call it a Bitcoin wallet, and it's Apollo or it's Coinbase Pro. I use Coinbase Pro, And, unfortunately, about 3 months ago, I loaned my buddy for CBD $2,500 for 2 weeks. And it's been 3 months, and all of his sales have stopped. And he had $1 million sale already the next day, and he was going to give me $500 the next day. And so I took 2,500 out of my Bitcoin, or I would have been good boy right now.
Yeah, you would have been real good shape and everything. One of the things we were talking about before you jumped on, Jeff, was about powerful women leaders. We were talking about Eleanor Roosevelt. We were talking about a number of other ones. I was definitely Lady Bird Johnson and a number of others. So I was wondering, who are some of your powerful leaders that you can think about and everything in the sense of women leaders that you admire from history? So I'd love to hear.
I want Zack in on this one. I want before I answer my question, I want Zack back on this one. Zack, come back.
I think he went over there to take a quick, one of those Mother Nature breaks and everything. So yeah, I'm sure I still got him on the computer. So as soon as he comes back, I will definitely bring him on, and I'm sure he's listening. So if you can just start the conversation, we'll bring him in as soon as he comes back, because I'm actually looking right there at the screen, and I'll see him as soon as he pops back in.
Well, my favorite incredible women, I'm going to say teachers and medicine people. If you want to go high, Stevie Wonder, going to take you high, high, high. If you want to go higher, the medicine women for me are, you ready?
Yep.
Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
Aretha.
Okay.
Okay. Are the women that sing us through our world, that remind us that it's not just Marvin and BB and, all the guys that are doing the music. It's the women music that is the balance of my heart and my soul and my music when I play. I try to keep the women's music as front lobe as I can, because the women, the grandmothers, are the ones that are the most important people, the grandmothers. So the grandmothers I'm talking about, Zack, are the most important. And my women that I bless the most are, can you hear me, Zack? Zack, can you hear me?
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay, you can hear me?
Yeah.
My women that I honor the most as medicine women, as women that can do a change and that have done a change, Aretha, Joni Mitchell, all these mamas, and what about Janis Joplin? What about Celine Dion? What about Barbara Streisand? All these women get power from them also, because behind them singing, they all have, J-Lo has, done Bobby Brown, and now she's doing Rodriguez, so powerful women hang out with powerful men. What's that all about? What's it all about the women that chase the NBA stars? They like, 7-footers. Bottom line is that the women are going to inherit all of this stuff, and the grandmothers are the ones that the grandfathers listen to. And so why not let the transition happen now? And in Israel, we had Golda Meir.
Yes, that's right.
And so the bottom line is that, are there gentle women that are going to help to bring back a gentle, more emotional state of the planet? And not to get all psycho and say, well, Melania and blah, 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 and all these things, or what they did do or they didn't do. But I come back to my favorite women on the planet have been the divas, that sang about respect, and they commanded it, but they reminded us. The grandmothers are the only ones that come to the dinner table and remind you to sit down and mind your manners. Yep. And who stops listening? Everybody does.
Yeah.
And if mama's not happy, nobody's happy.
That is true.
That's very true.
Tina Marie is another one that I throw into that pile, because she never gets the credit she deserves, Tina Marie. I actually met her, and I was driving limousines in Virginia. And, I got a chance to talk to her and understand that she came from that Rick James camp. But Tina Marie, if you go back and look at the early Beverly Hills Billies, she appeared on that show as a child tap dancer. Right. So she had all that talent, and she was always singing about peace, love, and harmony, and about respect for women. And a lot of her songs, you listen to her early songs, she was telling people, listen, I'm talking square biz. You know what I'm saying? So she was letting people know, hey, I'm a powerful up and coming force to be reckoned with. It's just the male dominated industry won't let me in. You know what I mean? But now it's different. Like you said, Jeff, it's all different now.
Yeah, but Sheila E., you said Sheila E., definitely she does not get enough respect, and there's a number of others that don't get enough respect as well that are those women leaders and everything. And I definitely agree that a lot of them were singing about respect and all of that. Like I said, you talk about folks that come out of both the Rick James camp as well as the Prince camp and a number of others that don't get the kind of respect that they should get.
You know who else? Mahalia Jackson. Because if you follow her story, they asked her. It wasn't until way, way, way late in her career, at the end of her life, she sang on the jazz festival with Louis Armstrong. Before that, she would not cross over. And they begged her. They threatened her. The mob said, listen, we want your voice, Mahalia Jackson. You're the greatest gospel singer ever. Come sing blues. She would not do it. She would not do it. She said she would not do it.
Look at who was the blues lady? That was down low, in the alleys singing.
Ma Rainey?
No.
Bessie Smith?
No. Keep going.
Coco Taylor?
Lady sings the blues?
Who is that lady? Come on,
Billie Holiday.
Yeah, Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday should be there should be a national, Billie Holiday, and we should honor. Because when she sat on the steps and sang, you listened to her.
Yeah, she was deep too. Billie, all of those ladies back then, now we're on the subject of powerful women, they were fighting two different things. They was fighting three, actually. They had to fight the respect of the industry as a black woman. They had to fight the black man for respect. And then also they had to make sure they stayed on top of their craft. You know what I'm saying? When you got stress,
and they were bringing children up, They had children on the tit, and they had a career.
Yeah, exactly. And they had issues to fight. When I saw, and I have the Mahalia Jackson story on VHS, and I watch it at least every couple of months because it reminds me of the struggle, what she had to go through. And they finally put her on TV. She was the first black act on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yep. You know what I mean? That was gospel, because the network was like, we can't put gospel music on Ed Sullivan's show. But she was that good and that powerful and had that much draw.
Had to do it for her and everything. And think about some of those other great ones that were back in like the Harlem Renaissance era. I'm thinking about people like Dorothy Dandridge, Josephine Baker, and we can even go back further in time.
Lena Horne.
Lena Horne.
Rainey.
Yep. There was some amazing ladies like that. Some royalty in that. I remember I had that book. I don't have it now. I need to get another copy of it, but it was actually Lena Horne telling her life story. And that book was very powerful. And when she shared what she went through, just kind of like growing up and going into the business. Because like you said, Zach, a lot of times we don't know what they went through in the terms of the different suffering. So much suffering that in the case of Josephine Baker, she moved to a whole nother country because she could not cope with what was going on here in the United States. So she moved to France, and that's actually where she was later in her life and everything. So a lot of times these great folks would move to other countries because they were not getting the kind of respect that they deserved here in the United States.
Did you know that Joni Mitchell was one of Prince's favorite artists? And in a lot of Prince's videos, he has a picture, especially in the movie Underneath the Cherry Moon, of Joni Mitchell sitting in the background. And when he does one of his songs, Help Me, I Think I'm Falling, Bling, in Love Again, he tributes that to Joni Mitchell in one of his songs. You know what I'm saying? Because Prince, that's why I love him as an artist, because you can hear all the influences that he had in his music. But because Prince and Rick James was really pushing those women groups in the 80s, like Vanity Six and Apollonia, all of that stuff, he knew. He was like, yo, because they asked him once, why you wear high heels? He said, because the girls dig it.
Well, I got a powerful woman that I'm sure Jeff probably might have even had the pleasure of working with her, and she's still powerful to this day. But I've got mad respect for none other than Cher. Cher is a powerful artist.
Totally. Cher's a bad woman,
Cher, but But I watched the movie Moonstruck the other night, and my buddy said that's the most popular pandemic movie of all times right now. That during pandemic, Moonstruck got, with Nicolas Cage, got the most hits of any movie on Netflix because it was about family.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? I like the movie that she also did where the kid had the face of a lion. Mask.
Oh, right, Mask.
Yeah, she was really good in that too. People forget Cher could act. She was good.
Yeah.
She got an Academy Award for Moonstruck, dude.
Yep, she was good.
She got an Oscar. She got an Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah, she could act. She did. She's still doing her thing. God bless
I'm
her.
waiting for the women to take over because the men have fucked it up.
Totally. I could roll with that.
I can roll with that. I mean, I can even roll with them taking over in certain industries. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I think that folks sleep on is we talk about even what we talked about earlier on the first show with Zack and everything, funk music with Zack. We were talking about what was going on with the sports and sports world and everything. But a lot of folks forget that the real leaders in that whole women's movement, definitely Colin Kaepernick gets credit, but it was really a lot of the WNBA women that really were doing a lot of the major conversation. I mean, so much so that they came out against their boss. I mean, their boss is actually one of the people that's running on one of the team's cases running for the office down there in Georgia. But those amazing women athletes were like, we don't like what she's about. We don't like what she's doing.
The stupidest thing on the planet is equal pay.
Right.
Yeah.
Equal pay for the same job.
Right.
You know? Yep. So when Cheyenne or Gloria or whatever that slams the basket and gets your team, a gold medal, doesn't get equal pay, just give it up, equal pay. There's enough money to go around, and I think it's absurd anyways, unless the responsibility from these athletes that are making $40 million a year for throwing hoops, the guys, blah, 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 unless they start to use their money for global warming and for homeless.
Yeah. It's sad that we have people in the gap of wealth. 99% of the money is owned by 1% of the people. That's just an astounding number to even try to think, to wrap your head around that. If we just had a percentage of that, we could.
Well, can you imagine if I had money, how I would go with cannabis and how I would end cannabis not getting into the old people's homes, and I would end homelessness. It's so easy to take an empty building and let and put somebody in charge so there is no guns allowed and there's no crack and everything like that, and have a sober house. You have to prove that you're sober and just change the paradigm, change the love power into the love power. I mean, where's Fly right now? I think he's washing windows.
I don't know, but kudos to you for getting people out of jail for cannabis. People don't know that about you. So people need to know this man right here, for you watching around the world, not only is he, an activist in other areas, but he's also an activist as far as changing people's lives, as far as actually literally getting them from behind bars. So you deserve mad credit for that. It wasn't easy. I'm sure you took much flack from it. But still, God bless you for doing your thing some on the side of right. So good for you, man. Good for you.
I appreciate what Jeff is doing.
It's important for nobody to be in jail for nonviolence, and that is important to tell that story. That is. I want Spike Lee to help me to tell the story of the new Jack City. I mean, I want the amount of black people that are in jail proportionately to the white people is horrible.
Mm-hmm. The whole prison system is a joke in that sense, because definitely it is a corrupt prison system, but we also have to remember what the prison system was built on. And the prison system, as well as most of the police system, was built on the whole concept of what slavery was, and most of it comes out of the overseers, and that overseers mentality is how the prison system was built and constructed. And there was a great movie about that. I know many of our folks will remember this movie. It was a movie called 13 that actually talked about the whole corruption of the penal system, and it's something that was going on and continues to go on. And until there is a complete reform of the penal system, then we're going to have to work on ways to change it, because I think that there's got to be some better ways than what we've got and have had for hundreds of years. But
it's called and I'm a whitey, but it's called Jim Crow.
Yes.
Yeah, sad.
So what don't I know about it? I'm the one to help it out, and nobody's throwing me any dough. I'm doing this all on my own, and I'm flying to prisoners. We just got Michael Thompson out. The governor just signed his papers, and Michael Thompson was Aretha Franklin's booking agent, and he's been in jail for 27 years for 3 pounds.
Wow.
And he's a sweetheart. And I went there and I was in jail with him. All these other people that have all the money in the cannabis world are not throwing it to me to make my next movie or to do anything. I don't ask. Maybe that's my issue or my problem. But the bottom line is I'm the only one really who have been in and filmed these brothers in jail. And I helped Jeff Mazansky come home, and he was in jail for 21 years for 2 grams. That's less than a joint.
Where can people find your work at as far as what you're doing? Where would you tell people to look?
Oh, you can support me at lifersthemovie.com.
Because people need to know that. lifersthemovie.com. So you guys heard him out there all around the world. This man has done great things and changed people's lives for the better. He is a humanitarian, like Kim said, and you can go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And she was also saying another thing. She was saying that too many minorities are put in jail for nonviolent crimes and left there. She once saw a huge injustice where they had left a woman in the jail for a bad check and left there for a year and forgotten. So definitely, that's the other thing that goes on with the prison system. Sometimes it's almost like 6 months to a year before you even get to the courtroom system.
What about the stories of the, and most of them are black, but what about the stories of the humans? You know, people don't think black people are human. You know, like it's so
some people,
weird. It's so freaking weird. The bottom line is that I have a story that I played on my show several weeks ago, and I played the whole thing, and it was a story of this guy saying, "Yeah, I knew I didn't do it," and they have DNA now, and the DNA, we lost it. And he stayed in jail, and he didn't do it. He was the only black man on the street walking his dog that got arrested for murder. And he was in jail for 20 years for it. Yep. And he knew every day when he went to sleep that he didn't do it.
Yep. There's a great movie that Denzel did back in the day, the Reuben Hurricane Carter story.
Oh, yeah.
And and that was up in New Jersey by me. He was a boxer. They had been after him since he was a kid. Yep. He was in a juvie home as a kid. And this one captain, sergeant, detective just was going to make sure he ended up in jail. Sure enough, something happened. He got people to lie. And Reuben Hurricane Carter was in jail for like at least 15, 20 years, man. And this kid helped him get out. And with the modern, as people would have it, he had literally won the championship, but it was taken away from him in the ring because they voted for the other guy. And he had beat this guy to a pulp. He literally was the middleweight champion, and everybody said it, the writers and everybody. But because the other guy was white, Reuben Hurricane Carter was black, they gave it to the white guy. And he had knocked the guy down, beat him to a pulp. You can go back and watch it. So after that, the cops started their file on him. And he was a war veteran. He had went to Vietnam. He was a paratrooper, right? They started following him. They started setting up this thing. So anything that happened over there, they was going to blame it on him. And sure enough, a murder happened, and he was in the area, had the same kind of car. They arrested him. The rest is history. He did get out. Justice did prevail. And it was through people like yourself, Jeff. These people from Canada got his story, stayed on top of it. And with the help of this little boy, the 3 of them ended up getting him out of jail. Very powerful movie. It's called The Hurricane. I said one of Denzel's best movies. He didn't win an award for it. It wasn't all over the map, but it was one of his best movies.
Yeah, we got the Los Angeles Lakers stuff he's got on and everything. So I know Jeff is into his Lakers and all of that.
That's Kobe. Yeah. No, that's Kobe. We got to talk about this is the beginning of the year, the Fallen.
Yes. And we did lose a lot, and a whole lot. Kobe was definitely, I mean, Kobe, we lost. We lost Chadwick Bosewick, who definitely taught a lot of people about prostate cancer. We definitely lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Who did we lose this week? We lost somebody this week, right? Just a couple of days ago. Before New Year, somebody.
We lost Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah,
Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. John Lewis, the great civil rights leader, and that's just a few of the things.
If you do good your lifetime, and you do the golden rule: do unto others. If you go with the golden rule, you're going to be able to go to heaven and get your goodies and be in the good area and not be in detention in heaven, because heaven must have a lot of booty that's going to shake, and the concerts are going to be free, not $300 to be in the front row, and you can fly because you'll have your wings, you'll have your wings, you know.
I'm going straight to where the funk is. I know they're going to be able to find me in one spot.
Well, we got to be good on the planet Earth and be doing our work, you know, so we can pray it forward. That
sounds like a good idea.
You're right, and y'all are both right. We did lose a lot of great folks and all of that. One of the other things is we get ready to wrap up very shortly and everything that I know we were talking about earlier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. But earlier, me and Zach were talking about this whole concept of folks that are out there spying on us and things of that nature. You've been involved in the entertainment game. You've definitely been involved as an activist and as one that has been in trying to get these folks out of jail because of your work and everything. So I imagine that you've actually been on that list of folks that have been having folks that are listening to them regularly and that are definitely facing that whole government kind of system.
If you got nothing to hide, then it don't matter if they're listening to me. It don't matter. Abbie Hoffman, the Magnificent Seven, he wrote Steal This Book, and it was about the IRS being a private organization having income tax. Why are they taking money off of my income, and my roads are still messed up. My roads are still messed up, and the children are having bad school, and we should Bernie Sanders our college funds, because a lot of my friends owe $100,000 for going to school. We should have free school, and the teachers need to be paid more.
Totally. Our educational system is in a sham right now.
The education system is in a sham. The teachers definitely need to get paid. We are honoring and always talking about honoring the frontline workers. And while some doctors of the high end may be making a lot of money, a lot of those frontline workers are not making nearly what they deserve either. And I know that you know that for a fact, Zach, because your ex is actually involved in that field, and you've also got a number of friends in that field as well. And I know that you've even told me sometimes about the struggles that they've been going through, even though they're working in the system and are helping us with trying to find a cure for this whole COVID pandemic that we're in the middle of and everything. So I think that that's one of the great injustices of the world, what we pay some of our frontline workers as well as what we pay our teachers.
Well, look at the vaccine. Everybody should have already been able to have one, and they're allocating vaccines. There should be a vaccine station at every Safeway. If they're giving free flu shots, and flu shots have formaldehyde in there and aluminum. I mean, and I'm a foodie. I'm a raw vegan for 20 years. The bottom line is that I don't know shit. I know what works for me, but the vaccine, if that's going to help, why is it coming out slow?
The thing that bothers me is this. We set up these areas for testing, and I'm going to make this quick, Mark. I know you got to wrap. We set up these areas for testing. At the same time, we should have been simultaneously setting up areas that were going to help, so you can go get vaccinated. I don't know why we waited until now to do it. If we knew this last year, when we set up those tests, because within 2-3 months, testing sites were up everywhere. I live down the street from one. So why didn't we then say, okay, as we're setting up the testing site, let's then too set up the vaccination site so it will be ready. And this is where our leadership failed us. He failed us in such a way. He's like, no, we're going to do everything as we're doing it. But you can't build a road when the car's driving down the road. You got to build the road first, and then the car can go. So I don't know why we just didn't do both at the same time. That always bothered me. Always.
The issue is that there was one guy already who took his whole truck and turned off his refrigerator on purpose.
Really?
Yeah, and so he delivered bad vaccines.
Did he go to jail? Where was this at? What state?
I heard about it. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, did you hear this, Jeffrey?" I don't know, but it's out there, and
why would he do that? Why would he do
that? It doesn't matter why. Why do people shoot up schoolyards? It's the bad video games.
Yeah, well, it kind of matters. Why? Because we got to prevent him from getting behind the wheel again.
Well,
that guy should be in super jail.
It's kind of like that doctor that was in. I know he was in the medical field. I don't think he was a doctor, but somebody in Wisconsin that they actually said that he intentionally left things out of what was going on. So he was actually ruining the vaccines, and they said he did it intentionally. I've been reading threads where folks are trying to figure out why he did it and the reason behind it. But
that might have been the guy I'm talking about. But the bottom line is that Gandhi wouldn't approve this message.
No, he would not. Nor
would Bowie, nor would Prince, nor would Johnny Cash, nor would Elvis.
Yeah, none of them would approve this whatsoever. There's no doubt about that. But like you said, there are folks that will do evil things regardless of what we tell them to do and everything. So our job as the lights, as Zack likes to tell me that I am part of that team and everything, to make sure that we're catching them in what they're doing and trying to not let them do the destruction that the negative dark side will do. So we have to do our part.
If we have the good news, we have to share it.
Yeah, we do. But Elvis, I'm on the fence about, because Elvis, man, he never even brought up Little Richard ever. He just took his music, took his style, and then just nah, I'm not going to mention it. I stole all my stuff.
But he went gospel. He sold more gospel than he did.
He did some gospel.
Rock and roll. Dude, he did do gospel.
Yeah, I know he did. He did some gospel. But, Elvis is like, I ain't got no black people in my band.
He wasn't the king. No, I believe you. That's really bullshit. The king, Well, what about BB and what about...
Little Richard was the king of rock and roll. Everybody knows it. Little Richard. Little Richard was the king of rock and roll.
Little Richard was the king of rock and roll. But I believe that it wasn't that long ago that we lost another great legend of music as well, and that was the legendary. It was a few years ago and everything, but the legendary Chuck Berry and all of that, and he was definitely a king as well. Chuck Berry was a king and everything. And, if we want to talk about some kings of music, and we're talking about some folks that we lost earlier, let's not forget that we lost the king of music in country music earlier this year as well, and that was the legendary Charlie Pride.
Yeah. And also one of the Neville brothers. But going back to what you said, Mark, about that, I do got to give props to Jerry Lee Lewis, because he kept it black, even though he was white. He kept it black because he was like, I got all my stuff from the brothers, So him, I have to give him props because he kept it real, because they banned him too for marrying his cousin.
Yeah, one for the money. That whole marrying within your family. I don't know if you need to be
don't you?
He married his cousin, so it was like, "Yo, you an outcast, dude." Because he hung out with Elvis and all of them in the early days. But as a dude, you can't marry your cousin. He's like, "I'm doing it anyway." So for him, I gotta give him.
Well, Sammy Davis Jr. was the token Rat Pack.
Totally. Yeah, he was it. Yeah, he was token. He was token because he was good. He could dance.
But there's some folks that have actually said that Sammy was. And there have been even people within the Rat Pack family that will tell you that he was the most talented of the Rat Pack. And there have even been people like Frank Sinatra and I believe others that were part of the Rat Pack, even Dean Martin, that acknowledged the fact that Sammy was the true star of that Rat Pack.
Because he could play about 20 instruments, drums, piano, saxophone, guitar, sing, dance, tap. He did Golden Boy on Broadway when he first came out. Sammy was one of the most unique entertainers, and I don't even know the right word for it, that was ever put on this planet. He was one of the first black people on TV acting.
He was born to perform.
Born to be watched. Yes, he was. He was incredible. I wish I would have seen him live. He would be one person besides Jimi Hendrix that I would want to see perform live.
Because, I loved Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah,
he was a beast. He was a beast, man.
And there was a great movie that was recently made about Sammy Davis and everything. So if you've not got a chance to go out
Who played him? Who played him?
Sammy Davis.
What movie? What movie?
Who played him?
I'm trying to remember the name of the movie, but I know that we actually showed it at the Cultural Arts Center that I'm part of, the Hayti Heritage Center, right before the pandemic. So that would have been either the early part of 2020 or the latter part of 2019. So I know that it was one of the movies that was shown there and everything. So if y'all keep talking, I'm going to look up that movie and also tell you.
It would have had to have been in November or October.
I want to know who's going to play Zack in your movie, Zack. Who do you want?
Who would I want to play? Well, Wesley is too old now, but everybody used to say I used to look like Wesley Snipes. But now I've morphed into Samuel Jackson. So if somebody's going to play me, Samuel Jackson can play me. Because everybody says with my hat off, if this look, this is Samuel Jackson.
Who's going to play me? Who's going to play me?
I would have to say Dustin Hoffman would have to play you.
Oh, man, that would be good.
Dustin, you look like Dustin. Dustin could play you. You know he could. You know he could. Dustin Hoffman could totally do you, bro. I'm telling you. Every time I look at you, I see Dustin Hoffman. So now, who would have to play Mark? Mark is a tricky one. There's this actor on Broadway, but he does film as well. I forgot his name, but he's a light-skinned brother like Mark, and he kind of has the same mindset. Because Mark, he kind of looks like a little Sinbad-ish, but Sinbad is sick, so he couldn't play you. But
Sinbad is fucking really sick,
he's sick, but he's sick, right? He's really sick, Sinbad.
Oh, he is? What's on Sinbad?
Something's wrong with his kidneys and something like that. Yeah, he's really sick. Yeah, they did a benefit for him recently. Yeah, he's not doing well. Yeah, he's not doing well. So you can look it up and see. Something happened.
Those parties he did in the Virgin Islands?
Yes, that was great. Those shows were awesome. And nobody would support him. That was all his own money.
He had very that was the best.
Yeah, he did about 3 seasons of that. Yep. Had all the funk bands. But Mark, I don't know who's going to play you, but I can see his face. I just can't call his name, but we got the cat to play you for sure. We
got to roll for Mark right now because he's
froze. Yeah, he is frozen.
Yep, get ready to roll and everything. Definitely.
All right, Mark.
Coming up on that 5 o'clock. That 3 o'clock hour and everything. But definitely we got ready to roll. And I'm gonna have to find that name of that movie. And by the way, it looks like there's actually talk of there being a biopic that actually was being launched, or MGM is launching into doing something that was announced earlier this year. So there's actually going to be a biopic with Lena Waithe and Rasheen Rajana producing through their Hillman Grad banner. So I'll have to find out who's going to be playing on that. But apparently there's a new one, and I'll have to do a little bit of research with my cohorts over there at Hayti to remember the title of that movie. So next week, I promise that I will have that for y'all, the title of the movie and all of that. So we'll keep that in mind. But yeah, Sammy's always got some amazing stories, and he had a lot of knowledge that he was dropping even when he was living and all of that. And by the way, coming up at 4 o'clock, y'all can actually see even more. If you haven't had enough of me today, you can see more because the show that goes on, Talking Upstream, they've actually been pre-recording, and I did a show with them a couple of weeks ago, and that episode will be running on this afternoon. So if you go to watch Talking Upstream at 4:30, we tossed around a couple of story ideas. And Zach, I can't be normal because usually they will give either one idea, meaning either Dylan's idea or Zach's idea, meaning the other Zach Wiseman. And they asked me, and I said, how about we use both of them? So we blended both of the ideas together because I'm like you. I can't just go with one way and just be kind of like doing the normal. I got to do a little something different. So I said, let's blend both of them together.
Twist it. All right, brother.
Guys, I'm out.
Y'all. I'm out. Love y'all, man. I'll see y'all later. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
Appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you as well, Zach. By the way, don't forget to catch Jeff's show. Jeff's show is the Weed Wednesday show that comes on Wednesday on this great platform and all that. So IBMTV.tv, be sure to check out his show that goes on there. And then, of course, we've got some other amazing shows that happened as well. As a matter of fact, I'm already lining up some guests for the show that will happen on this coming Monday. That's right, the radio show with Mark Lee, as well as Mullins Music and Memory. So looking forward to having some great activists, some great entertainers, some great entrepreneurs during the course of the year. And of course, the online dinner party will be coming your way on Wednesday. So looking forward to all of these great and amazing shows. So keep that in mind. And I also know that some of the folks that told me that they would pop in were having other things going on in their life. So definitely Kim has said that she'll be here with us next week. And I'm also hoping that Tim Sohn will be able to pop in. But I know how those headaches can be. And he was telling me that he was fighting a migraine. And definitely Jacoby has always as many things going on as I do. So hopefully I'll get a chance to get him in next week. And I know that Wynn will probably be trying to reach out to Daryl. So hopefully Daryl will pop in as well on this roundtable as well on this coming Sunday or a week from today. So keep that in mind that we're hoping to see those great folks on the upcoming editions as well as others. I'm also reaching out to a number of other people to see if they can come on as well. But right now, I'm going to bring on a couple of things about some of our other shows that exist here on IBMTV.tv, and then that's what we're going to use to wrap everything up. So one of those shows is the one that I just talked about, which is Talking Upstream, which will be coming your way at 4:30, and yours truly will be featured on this particular episode. But right now, let's check this out. And don't forget, Alexandria May will be coming your way at 3 o'clock, and she's always got some great conversation with some amazing musicians. And as I get ready to fly this airplane on out of here, I hope that Ankit is feeling better as well, because I understand that he was telling me it was cold where he was, and definitely they were going through some weather changes, and I think he was also dealing with some health issues of his own as well. So definitely hoping that he's feeling well also. But on that note, I'm going to get this airplane on out of here. And of course, we've got some more great programming coming here on IBMTV.tv. And of course, there'll be some more amazing programming on Monday as well. So I look forward to seeing y'all on Monday, but y'all will be seeing me later on that episode of Talking Upstream.